And we're live, guys. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody on the panel. We got Texas Hardcore, we got Sean, Cinephile Sanity, and we got Corey, Wilkie's Movies and Music. Gentlemen, how y'all doing?
Great.
Good, good.
I'm doing perfect.
Nice, nice. Yeah, so this is volume three of Spooktober, the last one. I had been planning this for some months, sort of. It had been an idea in my head, and I was trying to think of like who to invite and who to have on and stuff like that. So, and again, thanks again, Texas and Sean, for coming on last minute because it was just like I wanted y'all to be on, but it's just I had so much going on this past week. So thank you so much coming on. And Corey and I had already planned to be on this at the probably like at the beginning of the month, right, Corey?
Yeah, for a little while, but hey,
So
the more the merrier, right?
yeah, that's why I wanted to do. I wanted the last one to be like have so many of my dudes on here. I think the only person that would be missing right now is just Don. But
Yeah.
he's doing his thing right now. But yeah, beyond that, guys, what's been going on recently with you all? Anything new y'all watched this week, or anything come in for y'all?
Hmm.
I
Well,
Texas, you want to start off?
last week I got a um, package from Grindhouse Releasing, and eventually I'll get around to doing the unboxing for that. But I've got a Vinegar Syndrome unboxing I'm gonna do first. Uh, Started like the 5 films that I'm supposed to watch for Gizmo this weekend. I'm on like the third film, and but I'm trying to think of other stuff that I've watched recently. I mean, besides like the watch alongs, but everything like kind of escapes me. I did watch. They showed put 3 episodes up of the new final season of What We Do in the Shadows. If you guys watch that, it's fantastic. One of
So
the
far,
most.
so good.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
the show's
Um,
good. I love the show. I
okay.
haven't gotten a chance to see the new episodes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I've been sort of watching American Horror Stories, the spinoff show. That blows. I mean, pretty much I've watched 3 episodes and they all have the same ending. It's just, like a different thing, but it's the same episode. And it's just like, okay, this show has proven that it sucks. So
So,
yeah.
so quick question, man. Sorry to stop you, but
No.
for that one, is there a new season of that or?
Well, it's a continuation of like this past season, like I guess, because this is the one where it's all just different stories. It's not one particular story.
Mhm.
So each episode is different. But I really think that the first season I liked a lot. Second was all right, but this one so far has just been
Oh,
like I don't
so
even. Yeah, because it's weird because they showed like 4 episodes or something, and then it's a continuation of the same season with newer episodes, but so far they're just garbage, and
hmm.
stuff. So
Yeah, because I did like
mm,
the first season of that stories one. I liked the Danny
yeah,
Trejo as the Christmas slasher. I
yeah,
liked the Billy Lord. I loved that episode. That was like the probably the best one for me. The one where she like they were trying to get her crazy, but then she ended up summoning that demon and stuff like that. I thought that one was a
right.
really good one.
I like the one a lot with Adrian Barbeau and that film, that had never been seen in years,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. That was great. I think, yeah, pretty much those you mentioned are like top notch in that series, but the it's just really bad this season.
Was there anything else that you got?
Uh, mm, no, I'm just trying to. I've watched a few things, but it's like I've been watching so many things I can't keep track. I did see Strange Darling with
Oh, I want
Kyle
to see that.
Garner, and that's a great like serial killer movie. That was really good. And I did see the new Kevin Smith movie, the 4:30 movie, and I thought that was really good. He's actually
Wow.
done something that was so much better than Clerks 3, because that was abysmal.
Yeah, that was horrible. What about you, Sean?
I mean, honestly, I've just been trying, like, I'm still in the process of trying to get caught up on credit card bills, but yeah, I've been kind of laying low as far as like buying anything really. But Texas is definitely the one that, he goes out to the theater, he sees all the new movies. I'm more like laid back with that. Like, I don't jump on the new movies right away. I always look at it as like, well, I got plenty of shit to watch. So like, I'll get around to it eventually. But yeah, doing the last matinee the other night, watch party for that. It's because me and Texas did a top 5 slasher stream, and this movie ended up being his #1, which has really intrigued me overall. So I watched it on my tablet and I liked it so much I just went ahead and bought the Arrow limited edition release. But
Nice.
that's about the newest thing I've seen. I mean, that movie's from 2020, but like, I still need to see Alien Romulus, The Substance. There's
Same
quite
here.
a few things that are on LookMovie at this point that I need to sit down and actually give a watch to. But
Oh, nice. They're on LookMovie.
I mean, it's LookMovie
nice.
really, they're pretty quick at getting some new movies out there, like on their site. But it just sucks that some people can't access LookMovie. It seems like some people have trouble accessing it, or some people can't do it from like like a laptop or something. I've heard before, but I don't know. It's
interesting. What about you, Corey?
But yeah.
Oh, sorry, Sean.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah, that's about all for now, though. Just just got horror movies pouring out of my ears all month long. So,
So do we all? We all do, right?
Yeah.
The list is too big for the month, but
Yeah, I know, man. I got something from Arrow myself that I still need to unbox. But yeah, what about you, Corey?
I've kind of been doing the same thing where I've been cutting back quite a bit the last few months of what I've been bringing in and watching more of what's behind me. But I have been sidetracked a lot and have not watched as many as I thought I was going to. But this one I had pre-ordered quite a long time ago from Orbit DVD's website, but I got the UK Nightmare on Elm Street 4K set in the Steelbook, and I still gotta watch it. I was gonna watch it the other night and it got sidetracked again. Life has been crazy, but I love the artwork on the Steelbook for that one. Anyway, I was pretty excited to get that in.
Cool.
Yeah, I actually ordered the regular one. Like I ordered it on, pre-ordered it on Amazon. The other, like just the standard Steelbook or whatever. Yeah. But I don't think I'll have that till November 4th at this point, because I know at one point on their site, like they sold out of it. Like the pre-order was like shut down. Like they actually they shut down the pre-order, and now it's like you can order it. It looks like they have plenty more coming in now or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah. I jumped the gun with this one because when that one was announced and I pre-ordered that UK set on Orbit was before the US releases were announced. And I should know just to like be patient, just relax and, wait and see what happens with it. But anyway, yeah, the US releases, the Steelbook and the Slip, I think both look really great.
Yeah, but I think that one that you got, the one you got actually offers more. So it's like, like I'm pretty sure the one I got coming's just the Steelbook. It's not coming in a nice slide box or anything, no booklet really. I think it's just the Steelbook and that's it. And
but probably at a better price though too.
Or whatever. I think it was like $30. I think it was.
Yeah,
I think it was like $30. 4K format's about that going price nowadays. And I noticed physical media is really going up everywhere. It's starting to really go up again. Like I see certain areas, like things are just like going from $22.99 to $24.99. It's like, what the fuck?
And then
like I actually ordered a copy of Thanksgiving. I ordered a copy of Thanksgiving on Blu-ray like a couple days ago, but like, I don't really have too much stuff coming in, but like, even that was a little pricey. I'm like, this movie's been out for a while now. Like, why is it still $20?
Yeah, that's crazy. No, haven't mostly. I've kind of dialed back some stuff. I did, like I said, I had pre-ordered something from Arrow a while back, so it just came in. I'm super excited about it. Other than that, I've just been getting in some vinyl records. That's about it, really. I have some figures on pre-order, but I'm still waiting on those. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna run into the chat real quick because it looks like a lot of people are chiming in.
Yeah, do it.
Let's go ahead and start off with Papa Gaz. Welcome everyone. Make sure to hit that like button. Thank you so much, sir, for hanging out with us and everything. And our man Rob, Vintage Videos here. Rob, thank you so much for hanging out with us, brother. I definitely miss you, man. I wish you would make your comeback.
Yeah, it's good to see Rob here, man. You don't see him very often, so it's good to see him pop up.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I mean, just like that was my Friday routine, man. Like I always said, I was always hanging out on his streams and stuff. Just like when I hang out with you guys at night, it's like that's my Friday routine. If I'm able to stay the whole time in the chat, like it's a good night. If I'm passing out because I'm just tired from the day, Matt Pugwall.
That happens, man.
Yeah, it's just a long week, Evening, everyone. Cool concept from Larry and great group in the chat and on screen. Have a great night. Thanks, Matt, man. Free BB, man. Let's see. We got Russell. Hi, Larry the cat, our man. Villainous Vixen's here. Hey, Jen. How you doing?
Hello.
Hey, Jen.
88. Hey, what's up, Wookie and the crew? Hey, how's it going,
Smirk?
Thanks for hanging out with us. Everybody saying hi to everybody. Yeah, minus Juno. Yeah. We got Billy Bags. Was that from what was that movie? Billy Bags.
I'm pretty sure that's I think that's Jen's friend, actually.
Oh, okay.
Someone that she streamed with before. I'm pretty sure that's who that is.
Oh, I'm thinking Bags like from The Departed. Jimmy Bags. Y'all remember that when he knocked his teeth out? It's like, it's Jimmy Bags. It's like, look, Gareth is here. How's it going, good sir? Thanks for stopping by. Everybody saying
what's up, Gareth?
Everybody saying hi to Rob. Rob saying hi to everybody. James, how's it going, James? Thanks for stopping by, hanging out with us.
What's up, Jimmy?
Oh man, Zodiac's here. How's it going, Zodiac? Thanks for stopping by, good sir.
What's up, Z?
Candy Corn Film was a great weird slasher. Great looking in characters. I haven't seen that one though. Have y'all seen that one?
I did. I didn't care too much for it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think it was terrible. Like, I found it to be watchable, but I was just like, this is not for me.
Well, see, that's how I feel about, and hot take, that's how I feel about the Terrifier films. I saw the second one and I don't know, I love the effects and the music is great, but I found myself falling asleep and I don't know. I just couldn't really get into it too much.
I haven't seen any of them at this point. So
I know, like, the first time I saw Terrifier, I was like, man, people are making a big deal out of this. I'm not too sure, like, what the big deal is. And then I gave it a second watch, and I was like, it's the fucking art character. That's what it is. That's what's drawing people in. And, then all the chaos that comes afterwards. But it took a little bit for me to really, like, get it and understand it. But now, like, I do enjoy those movies.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely want to check out All Hallows Eve because I heard that one was good. And I hear the first Terrifier was good. So I do want to check them out. It's just I'm not in a rush to go see them. Like I said, I saw the first one or I saw the second one and I was just like, okay, But no, I guess back to the main discussion is so I wanted to the thing behind this whole stream, I wanted to ask everybody share their favorite Halloween memories growing up, past, present, and stuff like that. So I guess we'll go ahead and start off with Texas. You want to go and start off? Share one of your or many of your, favorite Halloween memories growing up.
I'd say some of the ones were, when I was, really little and my mom would, take me out trick or treating, usually just me and her. And I remember, I don't know why this memory has been like burned into my brain, but I remember, like my mom was taking me around and we went to this one house, and my mom would just, she'd be like, go ahead and, run up to the door and ring the bell or knock, whatever you want to do, and and I was probably, I could have been more than 4 or 5. And I remember I was like in a ghost costume with like, a mask and the costume with the ghost on it. And I go to this one door and, I knock on the door, kind of, this big man opens the door and he kind of looks down at me, and I'm looking up at him, and I don't know what to think. And then he's like, "Oh, we got a spook here." And I was just like, "Trick or treat." And he was like, put some candy in my bag, and then I just sort of like, "Thank you." And then I'm like, like run, like, it's just one of those weird memories, because you never know. I could have gotten some drunk old lady with a shotgun. Yeah, smile on you, little kid. Or something.
What do you want to drink?
Right. Yeah.
It's like if your mom wasn't there, you're probably not going to be going home.
Yeah. I mean, and then, several years later, we, like where we lived at that time, I could go around with the kids in the neighborhood and stuff like that. But I mean, there's other things. There's a couple I don't even want to mention because it's just kind of frightening,
Oh, wow.
Well, I'll mention one. We met up with some friends, and I was just starting high school, and there was this one idiot who we knew from junior high, of course, and he decides that he's going to wear a Klan costume. And, that's really going to go over well with people, and, we just kind of had to distance ourselves that night from this idiot. It was like, yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, it was just, that was one of the worst things I think anybody could do, and I was just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Dang, man. I'm surprised they didn't get beat up.
Yeah, well, like I said, we steered clear, so we
You did?
So, and we probably wouldn't have jumped in if he did get beat up. We're just like, well, what?
Yeah, I wouldn't have either, man. I feel you on that.
But
What about you,
Fuck
John?
that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
I mean, I honestly, like, I was like pretty obsessed with Halloween, like growing up, and for some reason, like when I first saw the Vincent Price movie House on Haunted Hill, it was the first time I ever saw a moving skeleton in a movie, and it just like really had like a big impact on me. Like when I was a kid, I was just like, wow, there's a skeleton moving in this movie. And like since then, it just made me obsessed with skeletons as a kid. And pretty much every year, that's all I wanted to be for Halloween. And my mom, like every year, she would like try to like argue and plead with me, like, please pick something else. And I'd be like, no, I'm wearing the same fucking skeleton costume from last year. And me like, I remember you at like 4 years old, middle of fucking June, trying to put on this fucking skeleton costume, and it's not even fucking Halloween yet, and you're trying to wear it in the middle of summer, like going out to the food market. And like my mom also said I used to have like this rubber skeleton. I used to drag it around with me and stuff when I was a kid, and my mom said she like I always used to be so embarrassed with you dragging that thing around. But like yeah, I was just like was really obsessed with skeletons. Like even when I was a kid, like being in the car with my parents and stuff, I would love like looking at people's decorations, like at their house, like see how they decorated everything. And it's like to me, like Halloween was like waiting for Christmas, like the whole month of like December. You wait for Christmas to finally come around. It's like I treated that the same, like with Halloween. I really did, but I do remember one year, like, I have a sister that's 10 years older than me. So, like, the age gap there doesn't really leave us much room to, I guess you could say, like, find time to really hang out. She was 10 years older than me. She used to babysit me. And actually, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have actually seen so many horror movies at a young age because she would tell me and my brother, like, if you two behave tonight, I'll rent whatever you guys want. And we'd be like, okay, like that would keep us quiet, like her bringing home the horror movies for us to
Oh,
watch. But I forget what year it was. I think it might have been like Halloween 92. Like one year, my sister, she decided to hang out with me the whole day during Halloween. She actually took me to the costume store. She bought me a costume. She took me out trick or treating, but like that was the last real memory I have of like hanging out with her. Like it's her choice, I guess, but like she doesn't really talk to many people in the family, including myself at this point. But that's like one of the last like real memories I have of like hanging out with her. And you know it was just like a real surprise to me. I was just like, wow, my sister never wants to hang out with me like this, like, which I understand, like, she wants to go out. When I was a kid, she was really a teenager. She wants to go out and mingle with her friends and stuff. But I do remember, when I was 14 years old, we went to a Halloween party one night, and there ended up being like a real massive fight, and the party just went to shit. So a bunch of us were walking home, and I remember this one girl we were hanging out with. Out of nowhere, she's like, "You guys just want to go trick or treating?" Like we had no costumes or nothing. We had like school bags and stuff, so we decided to just go trick or treat, knocking on doors with no costumes. We filled up our school bags, and that was officially the last time I ever went trick or treating. 14 years old, like well over the age of being allowed to, really be trick or treating. But man, that's officially, the last time I went trick or treating as, I guess before I was an adult or whatever. But yeah, it's just the whole month of October, the fall season in general, football season starting up, hockey season starting up. I really love this time of year. And I really don't get tired of Halloween. I really don't. Like, it's for me though, like, watching like, 31 horror movies in 31 days. Like, once it's finally over, I'm always like, great. I'm glad it's over. I'm fucking exhausted now. Let's put the horror movies to rest for a little while. But yeah, overall, I really do enjoy Halloween. It's like now, like every year, like I pretty much just stay home. I give out candy, but like I love watching my dog like get all worked up throughout the night because she's not used to like people coming to the house and knocking on the door. She's
mm,
treating it like like people are trying to come in the house and kill us. Like she gets so worked up, she's panting and barking and shit. But I just like watching her deal with the whole thing on Halloween night. But yeah, I'm in my 40s now, so I'm one of those like stay-at-home guys that just hands out candy and then, just watches horror movies for the night. But yeah, that's about all.
yeah. What about you, Corey?
I'd say one of my, I guess one memory I always have come up for Halloween is growing up. We grew up on a farm, very rural area, didn't have a lot of money, and my mom always went the extra mile to try to make everything fun for us. And so she made a lot of our costumes growing up, and it was kind of fun. The one that I always remember, she made me a robot one year. So basically I'm gray sweatpants, gray sweatshirt, and some black cloth gloves. And she got a big rectangular cardboard box she kept, spray painted it black, and did duct tape, and everything to do, and put that on me, and it had a little flap where I would look out of that, and then a smaller square one on top, so it looked like a bigger robot than the taller than I was, and did the little face on it. But I remember she made ears on there. She was trying to use styrofoam cups, and the silver spray paint she was using for those, it kept on melting the styrofoam cups. And so she was like I just remember her just working her heart out, like trying to figure out a way to get these styrofoam cups to work. And she figured it out. I can't remember what she did, but I just remember her spraying them and they just like disintegrate from the paint and, and couldn't do it. But, and then she did little antennas off of it. But, I don't know. It just made it really special. I know there was probably kids that had some pretty awesome costumes that were bought and looked a lot better than that. But man, the heart and the blood, sweat, and tears that she'd put into that, I always remember her going the extra mile. And then me trying to do, I wasn't creative enough to make costumes for my kids, but just trying to take those extra steps, when they were going through some of those holidays to make it special. So
That's awesome, man. I mean, heck, just the fact that you would like do something like that, yeah, going the extra mile for sure.
Yeah.
That's. So, would you say that was your favorite costume that you
Oh
made?
yeah. Well, that's the one I remember the most, so I have to say it's
Oh,
my
okay.
favorite. You know, that's just one that pops out because I remember getting because we were in a very small school and we would do like a kind of a walkthrough, like everybody in their classes and they could wear them to school, and then we got to do a little walkthrough and show off the costumes, and I remember being pretty proud of that one. So
Nice, nice. So I know, Sean, you said your favorite was the skeleton one, right?
I'm sorry, you say that again. You like broke up there a second. What'd you say?
Oh, sorry. No, you. So I would. It's safe to say that your favorite costume was the skeleton one, then, right?
Yeah, like the full, bodysuit, the back and front showing the bones and everything. And like the only thing I would do differently, I would try to have like a different skeleton mask every year, but I always had the same like body outfit and everything. But like no lie, like I would wear that when it wasn't even Halloween season. My mom would be like, You gotta take that off now. I gotta wash it." I'd be like, "Nah, I'm keeping this on. This is what I want to wear."
like,
Fucking
no, it's
four
good.
or 5
It's
years
good.
old.
Well, I mean, you see the other kids. Like I'll see kids at the grocery store, like little girls dressed like princesses, and it's not
Yeah.
even Halloween. So it's like all kids did it. You know what I mean? Like, I know when you were talking about that you would drag around the skeleton with you, the rubber skeleton. I would drag around a stuffed Gonzo because Gonzo was my favorite character when I was a kid. So man, I ran that thing into the ground like one of the arms fell off, like it was all damaged up and everything. So I can definitely relate to the whole skeleton thing, man. That's pretty cool. What
And
about
I
you,
think
Texas? Oh,
oh,
go ahead,
sorry.
Corey. Sorry.
I was just going to say, at some point, anybody that has kids, you get to the point where you're like, I don't care what you're going to wear as long as you're not complaining and you're ready to go out of the house. Princess outfit, skeleton outfit, I don't care. If you're ready to go, let's go.
It's like, okay, you're dressed. Okay,
Yep. It's clothes
like
on of
plumber
some
costume.
sort.
Okay, let's go.
Yep, we're good. Let's go.
What about you, Texas?
I actually remember. I was just gonna say real quick. I remember one year my grandmom took me and my brother out shopping for the day, and like towards the end of the day, she's like, "You and your brother can pick out one thing," and I went for the Freddy glove. You remember when the Freddy glove came out in the early '90s? And I was like, I want that. This is not it. My grandmom was like, "You're not getting that. You can pick anything else you want in the store, but you're not getting that." And I was like, "Fuck, man! Like that's the only thing I want in here is that damn Freddy glove." And like, because like my grandmom was like, she was not down with anything horror related. Very, Irish Catholic. It just she didn't understand how people could have fun with horror movies. She saw them in a negative way. So she knew who Freddy Krueger was. When she saw, like, I brought that to her, she was disgusted. She was like, "Anything else in here but that. You're not getting that." And I was like, "Fuck, man." But I still ended up getting it later on at some point anyway. This is an original 91 glove, like, with the plastic blades and shit.
Yeah, I got one of
But
those.
yeah, go ahead.
I got one of those a few years back. I was at my local grocery store and they had they had one there, and it was pretty solid. I mean, it's cheap, but I mean, I still like, oh man, this is cool. Me as a 40-year-old man, I'm like, oh man, I got one. So yeah, it's like
Yeah.
what would have been funny is if like she said, no, you're not getting that. Get something else. Then you get a machete or like
Yeah.
or a butcher knife. Okay, well, I'll
A
take
big
that.
Bowie knife or
Yeah.
something,
Like, oh, okay, I'll take this then. I think that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
some
What
small
about
hatchet.
Yeah.
yeah, small hatchet, yeah. What about you, Texas? What was your favorite costume growing up?
Well, I when I was smaller, I had a lot of those, Ben Cooper costumes, and I'm trying to remember, like there was one, I had one that was Planet of the Apes. I remember I had a Batman costume. There was, I think I had one that was an astronaut one year. The last one I know that I had was Jaws, which was kind of cool because it was like like a shark, face mask, and then it said Jaws on the actual costume, and don't remember what exactly, if it was just ocean or something, because it's a Ben Cooper costume, so it's not going to be real graphic or anything like that. But you'd be surprised at some of the things that they did come out with, and I guess there's a documentary that's coming out soon or something that was made about them. But those are the kind of the ones that I remember. And then after that, for a while, because Kiss was like my big thing, so I was always dressing up like a member of Kiss every for at least 2 or 3 years or something ridiculous, and stuff. But
Now, did
yeah.
you rotate between the members, like with the makeup of Kiss?
Oh yeah. Because there was always friends, and around where I lived that, it's like, who are you going to be? Well, I'm going to be so and so, and then it's like, okay, well then I'll be so and so or whatever, and that was kind of fun for a while, but that that novelty wore off, and then I started doing like my own kind of, after seeing Night of the Living Dead, I started doing some zombie type makeup myself, and that was kind of cool because I went to this girl's party and they didn't recognize me at all. I took an old suit of my stepdad's and I poured powder all over it and stuff, and I did my makeup and knocked at the door, and this girl like opens it up and she's looking, she's like, yes, and I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Yes, and it's like, it's me. And they're like, oh my God, that's so good. I didn't even recognize you at all, and stuff. And so, yeah, I think that was, pretty cool. So I'll say that, yeah, that was, I think, one of my funnest Halloweens, because we didn't really go out and trick or treat. She had a party. She had all sorts of stuff, stuff all ready that we could eat. And I think she handed us bags of candy anyway to take home. So yeah, that was fun.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my main thing with all the Ben Cooper masks is I think everybody, the consensus is that wire would always like snap into your face or cut into your face.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to has had to have experienced that at least once. I mean, I don't know. At least that's from what I've talked to people, it's like, oh yeah, man, when that thing would like slap you in the face, and like, oh man, I remember that. I remember slapping my face and just being like, by the end of the night, you have like a line in your face from it.
The indention across your face,
Yeah. And then, so on that, I mean, what was your favorite candy getting and for Halloween? Like, what was like something that like, oh man, I hope I get this in my bag and stuff like that?
Full-size candy bars for me. Usually any good candy bar, pretty much, stuff. I hate it.
Yeah.
Candy corn, I still hate. I call that shit old granny teeth.
Yeah, I used to hate it when you would get candy. Like, I would occasionally eat small pieces of it, and then I'd be like, nah, I'm done with this. But sometimes I go to people's houses, and they would have like a fucking bowl of it, and they would just dig their hand in it and dump it in your bag. Like, yo, what are you doing? Well, I think the worst thing I ever got, which was like, it happened every year. It would be like multiple houses too. Like, man, but popcorn balls.
Oh, people would make those all the time. Yeah, they'd make them all the time.
I hated those things, man. I'm sorry, I hated those things. And like there was times where like I'd knock on like someone's door, an old lady would answer. She'd be like, "Come inside," and we all be inside in like this lady's living room. She's giving us popcorn balls. Like, fuck this shit, man. Let's get out of here.
Just throw it back at her house.
I mean, I like popcorn balls because I very rarely got them, so I mean, if I got something like that, I'd be like, holy fuck, this is great,
Those things would have like Caro syrup or whatever just drenched over him to clump them together, like it was just like pure liquid gel sugar, like holding the things together. And sometimes they would put the food coloring on to color it, too. Like they get fancy and color them. Oh gosh, I forgot about those.
I just know like they were always like the size of a baseball or like an apple or whatever. Like, but like every year I would come across at least 2 or 3 houses by the end of the night where it's like fucking popcorn ball. Let's turn around and get out. Next house. Fuck this house.
Oh man, what about you, Corey?
When I was a kid, so younger, I think they still make them. I haven't had them in ages, but it was whatchamacallit. You ever remember the candy bars?
yeah.
Whatchamacallit?
Yeah.
There was like
I
one house
remember when
they would
that
throw out
candy bar,
whatchamacallits. I would like those things. What's that?
like, wasn't that candy bar? Like, didn't that come out in like the late 80s?
It was in the 80s. It was in the 80s.
Because I remember when it was like a new candy bar from Hershey. It was like people were talking about it and shit. And eventually I tried it. And like, I've always enjoyed those though. But
I don't know why I liked those. But yeah, sometime in the 80s when I was younger, I remember whatchamacallits. And I was like, oh, this is... Yeah, one house would start throwing those things out. And I'm like, yep, we're coming back here next year.
I think there was like 3 or 4 things inside of that candy bar.
Oh,
it was
I can't remember. There was like chocolate and like a wafer bar thing. And
peanut butter. It had like that. What's that shit in a Nestle Crunch bar? It had that in there too. Like
the crisp rice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was like a Rice Krispie, but there was like caramel and then chocolate all the way around the thing.
Yeah, like that was kind of a big deal. You didn't see too many candy bars coming out with like all these different things in it. So like I remember that. Like
they still make it. You know what I'm doing this weekend? I'm gonna go buy a whatchamacallit. I have not had one probably in decades, man. I didn't know they even still made the things.
You know what's one thing I vividly remember? I don't know if you guys remember these, but this is when the Ninja Turtles were popular. Now, this is outside of Halloween. This has nothing to do with Halloween, but they used to make these Ninja Turtle Boston cream pies. And the chocolate on the outside was green, and then you had the Boston cream stuff on there. And like, dude, I used to buy them like crazy and eat them. And now I look back on them, I'm like, dude, that fucking, like, why was I eating that shit, man?
I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those too. I used to buy them up all the time because I was a huge Turtles kid. So I was just like,
yeah,
man. And then outside of Halloween, do y'all remember the Cheetos paws?
Yeah. I wasn't crazy about them. I remember that.
Really?
I don't remember those.
Yeah,
you guys remember the creepy crawlers gummy candy? There'd be like spiders and snakes and shit, dude. They would always have them at the impulse, like near the register when you're checking out of a store. They'd be like right there and be like, "Oh, look at this cool bug candy! I'm eating this shit."
Well, it's the thing, like with like gummy bears, I'm not a fan of, but I love the gummy worms.
The sour worms, like you like the gummy bear worm, like I know. Like I'd rather have sour worms actually. I like sour candy.
Yeah, a buddy of mine, growing up, I'd go over. He'd always have the snacks and stuff. So I'd go over, we'd start like watching movies, and he's like, "Oh man, you want some gummy worms, or you want some gummy like sour patch?" I'm like, "No, I'm good, man." But we'd go, as we got older, and because I was the first one to get a car from my friends. We'd go and like just buy snacks and we'd hang out at his house and watch movies. And I would always pick up from the dollar store big old bag of gummy worms for $1. I always love those, man. Gummy bears wasn't a big fan of, but for whatever reason, it's the same thing, I know, but
you just like it.
Yeah.
Rolos were another one I remember too. Do you ever remember Rolos?
Oh yeah,
dude, I still eat them,
chocolate.
Man.
Oh gosh. I think anything chocolate and caramel I'll eat probably.
So the weird thing about Rolos I never got into, and then I think it was one of the last streams. I think it was the last stream or the one before. I was talking bad about Rolos, and then my buddy who was in the chat, he texted me. He's like, man, how are you hating on Rolos? Because he loves Rolos, and so I was just like, I just don't like it, man. What do you want me to tell you? It's just I don't know why I just can't get into it. The thing I hate the most are Whoppers. I don't like.
I don't care for Whoppers. I don't care for Whoppers.
I'm not crazy about them, but I could eat them. Like if they showed up in my bag, I would pick at them here and there.
Yeah.
But it would. What sucks about Whoppers? Actually, you get stale ones.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude, the stale ones are really bad.
Yeah.
Or you get the chocolate. And you don't actually get the malt stuff inside, and the chocolate's all hard, and that, oof.
Yeah. And you don't know till you bite into it, you know.
It's a crapshoot, you know.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Like
your
there was times where like I would eat a Whopper and I'd be like, "Ah, that's a stale one. Got to spit that out." Like,
I think the worst thing, aside from the candy corn, would be the. I've said it in past live streams, where just like the people that would give you they're called I guess the monkey nuts. You know, where it's like the shelled peanuts. They would just like people were like it's kind of like they would just get a handful of it and put it in your bag. So I would get like just shelled peanuts, and I'm just like, I was like, why am I getting this? And then secondly, my biggest gripe was like they'd give you a two, like one that has the two nuts, but one of them's missing because it's like cracked. So like they're shortchanging you on the nuts too. So I don't know. I always thought that was that was probably the worst thing I ever got. I think.
I don't
Aside from
remember
the
I don't remember the shelled ones, but I remember some places they do a little bag of peanuts, you know, in shell, where you'd have to crack them open and everything and eat them. But
yeah, it's just like I'm like, come on, man, really?
somebody give you an apple and you'd be like, take this back, get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. Caramel apples, those were good around Halloween. Did you ever do caramel apples?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
See,
the
the
whole
only thing
apple,
is,
and
like-
you melt the caramels and you dip it in there and let it. Oh, that was good stuff.
like I still eat those nowadays, but I need like a knife and a fork because if
Yeah.
I don't have a knife and a fork with the beard, I'm gonna have caramel stuck all in my beard and shit, and it's not fun.
No, man, it isn't. It's like the struggle is real.
So I'm just going to say, not to go, I'm sidetracking. We're all good about sidetracking. I'm great at it too, but I'm so glad I started growing this. I would have felt so left out if I was on this stream with you three guys and I didn't have any type of facial hair on. I would have been like, oh my gosh, I got to get out of here. So thank goodness, gray, white, and all, I get it going. I'm not, it's the shortest out of y'all, but you know, I at least got a little bit going.
the beard crew. Yeah.
There you go.
I was actually going to say that at the beginning because it's like the beard crew is here. You know, so.
But no, man, that's why I'll have to change the name to like
When everybody popped on, I was like, thank goodness I let this start growing a little bit ago.
Corey's lying to us. He airbrushed that one before the stream.
It's all glued on. You'll see part of it fall off, and a little bit the mustache will be hanging onto the side. Or
I actually had this friend. I hadn't talked to him in a while, but Jimmy and I used to go see independent wrestling here, and we used to. So we got to know like a bunch of the guys, and so this one friend of mine, you know, he doesn't wrestle anymore, but first few times I ever talked to him, he kept looking at me really funny. And so then, you know, we became friends. And so he had met this girl that lived in San Antonio, and I was dating a girl in San Antonio. So he's like, hey man, you want to go to San Antonio this weekend and stuff? And he, you know, and I said, yeah. So we're driving up there, and he says, hey, I always wanted to ask you a question. And I was like, okay. And he's like, so your facial hair is real, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, I don't know, man. When I saw you at shows, I thought it was a gimmick. I thought that you were gluing that on. And then I started going like this. I'm like, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's not glued, dude. And he's like,
you got one of the Santa ones where you got the elastic strap coming up around the back of your head.
Yeah. But it was just the weirdest thing, because I remember he'd look at me funny sometimes, and I just kept wondering, what's up with him, you know? And then when he asked me that, he goes, oh, I just thought it was like a gimmick that you were wearing to the shows. And
you should have just rode along with that. You should have been like, it is, dude. You're right. Like, you know,
You should have been like, I wear this as a effing fashion statement. Like,
yeah. I only wear it on the weekends, you know.
Like
during the week, I don't have it on.
It's like my beard's planning on doing a run-in, you know.
It's interesting to kind of go off on a tangent on that. I mean, I know before. I mean, I have more gray in my beard now, but before that, like, it's a lot of different color. It was a lot of different colors. So, like, I would have people like, "Oh, do you dye it?" I'm like, "No." It's like, "Oh, because it looks like it's interesting with all the different colors." I'm like, "No." It's like, it is, you know, for whatever reason in the wintertime it gets darker, but in the summertime it's just like all these like different, like light brown and like red, and like now it's getting more gray, but it's just like I always thought that was interesting that people thought I actually colored it. I was like, no, not at all.
I had some people asking me if I was going to start coloring and my hair too. Like on the sides, you can see the grays coming in, but I have some patches, and I'm like, nah, I'm just going to go with what I got.
Yeah, man.
Like whatever.
Yeah, I have the grays coming in under my chin now, but like like the one thing I get very often from people, they go, "Dude, what barber do you go to?" I'm like, I go in my bathroom. I use 2 mirrors and I fucking shape up my beard. That's it. Everyone's like, really? Dude, you do a really good job with that. Like, I'm convinced you go to a barber. Like, no. Like, why would I do that when I could just do it at home myself? Like, if you just take your time with shaping up your beard, you can do it. You just got to take your fucking time. Don't rush through it.
Yeah, man. I used to for a while, like I was doing for the longest time I was doing my own beard, and then I started doing it again because the last time I went to a barber, they messed it up. So I was just like, screw this, man. I'm just gonna go back to doing it myself. So I started doing it myself again and trying to, like, I guess, teach myself how to do it again because I hadn't done it for a good while. So yeah, man, that's just. But they butchered it last year, so ever since then, I'm just like, no, nobody's gonna touch this ever again but me. If I screw it up, that's one thing. But if I'm paying somebody to mess it up, then no, man, I'm not having that. But no, man. Let me go back to the chat a little bit. I'm kind of behind. Let's see here.
It happens, man. That's the story of my streams. Actually, the last stream we did, I finally got to the end of the comments. I was like, whoa! It stopped. It usually keeps scrolling. It stopped. Holy shit! I got
You didn't know what to do with yourself at that point. You're like, what do I do now? I got to the end of it.
It was like, oh, like what do we do now? I don't know what to do now.
Buttons.
There's always another one to read. Why is there no more?
Billy Bags is saying, sorry, I was making cookies. It's a childhood nickname. It's kind of just stuck. Oh, that's cool. I mean, it's like with Corey's name. I mean, it was growing up.
Yep.
Right, Corey?
Yeah, it kind of ran in the family, actually, too. So.
Oh, there you go. It's like passed down from generation to generation, man.
Yep, there you go.
Everybody's saying hi to everybody. I believe Rob was saying he thought the Terrifier films were great. I'm assuming that's like far back, so I'm assuming that. Marty's here. He said, "Yo, Larry, community post plug." Oh, thank you so much, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Everybody's saying hi to Marty. Russell is saying, interesting story. Texas Russell.
Cool story, Hansel.
Everybody's saying hi to everybody. Professor is here. Professor Macabre. Always a party when you show up, good sir. Thank you for stopping by. Happy pre-Halloween weekend. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All-star panel. Well, I had to have some of the best. The only person, like I said, missing Don. I was hoping he'd come back during this time so we could just party it up like we did last year. But he's definitely missed. Let's see.
Yeah, one thing I really miss is being bored at 2:00 in the morning and watching somebody just come out of nowhere with a watch party. Like, oh, great! I can't sleep now. I know what I'm doing tonight. I'm watching fucking Phantasm or whatever it is he comes up with.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that was the thing. It's when I would watch the replays of it, because what I do, I wake up pretty early to go to work. So for me, it's like my drive to work. It's like, well, do I want to listen to music? But if I saw like Don streamed, or I was just like, oh, well, I'll just listen to this on the way in. And I was surprised at how many people would be on his stream, at 2 a.m. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
Not to jump you forward, but a certain somebody jumped in the chat, I think, because you were saying his name.
Oh, Don's here?
Yeah.
No way.
Holy
really?
Shnikes. I think it's going to snow.
Shit.
No way, dude.
Holy shit.
Oh, my God, man.
Sorry, I just happened to see it pop up, and I was like, "Oh, dude, we were just talking about him," and he pops in there.
Oh man,
YouTuber telekinesis.
We're like
his ears were burning.
I sense someone saying my name. I have to get on YouTube.
Look at that. Oh man, look at that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's great to see, man.
It's like fucking Christmas, man. This is great.
Yeah, I'm like honestly like I'm like speechless right now, man. You know.
Yeah, good to see you here, Don. I hope all's well with you, man.
Yeah, man, definitely. New Blood Owl.
Rosalia, what's
And
going on?
Rosalia, thanks for stopping by. Glad you're here.
Hey, Rosie.
Everybody showing love to Don. That's awesome, man. Yeah, definitely. We definitely miss you, brother. Callow Daly's here. Chester's
What's
here.
up, Cal?
Cal, what's up, man?
What's up, Cal?
How y'all doing, everybody? Man, I missed a lot of stuff here. Gonna let her watching replay later. Great stream. Oh, thanks so much, Russell. Thanks for stopping by. Always good to have you, my man. Chocolate multi balls.
Yeah, I can't do the Whoppers.
Yeah, I can't do Whoppers. You know what's weird though? I'd rather do Tootsie Rolls than Whoppers.
I would too. I
can
and
only
they're
do
not my
vanilla
favorite either,
Tootsie
but I would
Rolls.
do those before Whoppers.
It's vanilla Tootsie Rolls or bust. I can't do the chocolate ones.
Huh.
Did you ever do the flavored Tootsie Rolls, like the cherry ones? There was like different colored ones. You know what I'm talking
I
about?
thought those were decent, like almost similar to like a Now and Later in a way, but
Oh
the
gosh, I
vanilla
forgot about
one.
those. Yeah, those
Dude, the
things you just
vanilla
had to like
Tootsie
suck on
Rolls
them.
are-
The now or later's you just didn't want to bite into it too soon because then you'd like lose a tooth or something because those suckers would like catch onto your teeth.
Yeah, packed with sugar too. But man, those vanilla Tootsie Rolls though, dude, I get started on them and like next you know, I'm like, dude, the whole bag's gone. Like, holy shit.
Hey Chester, what's going on, man?
How's it going, Chester? We got Diggs, by the way, one. Hey, thanks for stopping by again. We had you on the last stream. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us. John Doe Juggalo.
Hey
how's it
Jeff,
going,
what's up,
sir?
man?
Thanks for
Yeah,
stopping by.
JBJ.
And let's see what the professor said. Halloween is my birthday, so I loved it as. Oh, cool! That's awesome. Plus, I would get candy, presents, and cake, and I got to dress up in costume.
Nice.
So it's been a magical special time. That's awesome, Professor. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, what better time to have a birthday, right, than Halloween? You basically get everything. It's not like you have a birthday on Christmas where you're like, well, we're gonna give you one present.
Right.
It's gonna act as both. Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. Halloween and Christmas in the '60s were great. I know I've passed up a lot. Most everybody saying hi to each other. I honestly, this right here, man, like I can't, you know.
That's awesome. I love it.
That's awesome. I mean, it's like super speechless, man. So yeah, but real talk about Russell's fake beard. That's cool, man. But I guess leading into our next topic, what are some of your what are some traditions that you have to do every year? So like this is like, oh, I got to do this. This gets me into the spooky season every year. This is like, it's almost like I have to do this, or it's not, spooky season. And how early do you start?
I start early. I start feeling it in August. I get prepped during September. There's certain movies I'll watch because you can't watch all these great movies in just the month of October. So I have to like really pregame. I'm someone too who actually enjoys pumpkin beer, and that comes out in August, and it usually disappears by like as soon as Halloween's over. So that helps me get into the mood really. Like pumpkin beer is a big thing for me with the fall season, but overall it's mostly certain horror movies though. Like there's certain movies I like Night of the Demons is a big one. That's one I really like. It's hard for me to get through October without that movie.
It's a fun one.
Even Halloween 3 is another one. Just almost anything that does take place on Halloween night. But usually during September, I like to watch Vincent Price movies because I usually don't find a lot of time for them during October. So it's like, all right, like I just really enjoy Vincent Price movies mostly during this time of year. Like it's just that gothic horror feel. It just gets me into it, man. Like I can watch Vincent Price films outside of this time of year. I can. I've done it before. It's just that when this time comes around, I go, all right, yeah, it's time to pull out the VP movies. Let's fucking go, man.
That's awesome, man. To piggyback off of that, I mean, uh, what's your favorite Vincent Price movie?
um, I'm gonna go with The Abominable Dr. Phibes. I really like that movie, dude. The music throughout it, just his character's trying to get revenge for his wife that was wrongfully killed from these 9 doctors, and he decides to kill them in all these unique ways with this like Hebrew emblem that he like puts on all their necks and everything. And like as he knocks off each one, he actually goes out of his way to make like a wax mold of each person. And as he kills these doctors, he's like melting their faces down. And then you get the surprise at the end of the movie, when his actual face comes off and you see that he's all deformed and everything. It's just like, fuck, man. But that's one that really stands out for me, The Abominable Dr. Phibes, 1971. And yeah, there is a sequel. It's the Dr. Phibes Rises Again, I think it is. There is a sequel to that too. But I mean, there's quite a few I like a lot though. Like what one I think is really underrated. I never hear anyone talking about this. And you want to talk about bleeding with fucking atmosphere is The Haunted Palace. I think it came out in like 68. Maybe a little bit older than that, but that is a really cool movie, and it seems to go overlooked and underappreciated from people. But like I like the Pit and the Pendulum, Mask of the Red Death. I'm actually not too big on the House of Usher, the original one. It's a fairly short movie, but I'm not as big on it as some people are. But I could still get into that. Um, Still to this day, the only Vincent Price movie I ever saw on the big screen was the Oblong Box. I remember that was actually a first time watch for me at a 24-hour horror movie event I went to. They screened that at some point. But yeah, I really do enjoy Vincent Price, man. Like, like some people, they just gravitate towards like Alfred Hitchcock and stuff. And for me, it was Vincent Price. I grew up with those movies. And, House on Haunted Hill, the first time I saw a moving skeleton was just like, whoa, this is a big deal for me. I was so young when I saw that. And the skeleton pushes the girl into the vat of acid and everything. It's just like, fuck.
Or
Man,
in
this is
the
so
lady
cool.
that's the I guess the I guess it's the ghoul lady where she's just like going through.
Yeah,
That would trip me
yeah,
out.
that's another terrifying moment. And I mean, for a black and white film, it's maybe it doesn't hold up for some people, but like I can go back and watch that and remember how it made me feel when I was a kid.
Well, I mean, I would say, and that I was going to say that I prefer the original over the. I do like the remake that they did later, but I don't know, man,
Yeah,
just that original is just like really, really good. I like that one a lot. Uh, my favorite Vincent Price film is Last Man on Earth. I really,
yeah,
really enjoyed that one. I think the reason why I love it so much is because and I know it came up before, but I love Night of the Living Dead. And when I finally came across Last Man on Earth, I was like, man, this is giving me a lot of Night of the Living Dead vibes. But obviously, it came up before Night of the Living Dead, and it just, I don't know, it always just, it stuck with me. I also do like uh, Mask of the Red Death, which is also my favorite
Oh
Edgar
yeah.
Allan Poe poem. I love that poem. And one that I did get to see that I enjoyed. I think I enjoyed it because I saw it at a screening of the Mads that used to be part of the Mystery Science Theater. It was like Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank. They did the Tingler, so they did that live. So I got to see that, and that was a fun one. So
nice.
The
I mean,
Tingler is actually my all-time favorite, but I do love Mask of the Red Death as far as like one of my favorite Corman films. But yeah, the Tingler is amazing. Just like with House on Haunted Hill, both of those being done by William Castle, and I've seen both of those on the big screen, and man, so
Fuck.
so good.
Dude, I think if I was able to experience, the House on Haunted Hill like at a young age in the theater, I probably would like fucking die of shock. Like I really think I would.
Well, for that one, didn't they do that whole like that experiencing? Like they would have like ghosts go across the
When
ceiling or something.
Oh
when
yeah, I remember hearing about that. There was something they added to the audience that would, like, like freak people out, like stuff, yeah, like stuff like glancing by and like, like over
Mhm.
people's heads and shit. I
when
remember
I
hearing something like that.
when I saw him, actually there was a movie theater because this is when I was living in San Francisco at the time, and there was a movie theater there called the Strand, which was like a repertory theater. Every day there was always something going on, and they had like these different festivals. Like there was an Ed Wood festival, there was an AIP festival where Samuel Arkoff was actually there. I got to meet John I didn't meet John Waters at that, but he did give there was a John Waters deal for like a weekend, and he made an appearance, and so we got to see him talk. But they did a deal with Russ Meyer, and I got to meet him, and it was fantastic. And then the AIP, I got to meet Samuel Ziarkov too. But they did a William Castle thing. It was like three days, I think, and they were all like triple features. And there was, the Tingler, House on Haunted Hill, Mr. Sardonicus, Homicidal, which is a brilliant film, which predates Psycho. Uh, um, Also, trying to remember, there were a couple of more, but they gave out all the, they had all the gimmicks for the most part. Like the Sardonicus, you had the thumbs up or thumbs down or whatever, and card that they gave you, and it was great. I just wished he had been alive, because they probably would have had him there, and whatnot. But that was just amazing. And they had like House on Haunted Hill. They had a skeleton, fly over the audience at one point, and that was great. And there's a fantastic book called "I'm Here to Scare the Pants Off America" that William Castle wrote, and it's wonderful. One of the best books I've ever read.
Nice. What about you, Corey? What's your favorite Vincent Price film?
The one that was coming to mind, and this where it, I don't know if you can really call it a Vincent Price film, but it's one I'll just going to throw out there because I don't hear a lot of people talk about it. He is in it. He's not a main character, and he doesn't have a huge role, but I think for the time it still had some dark tones to it and what happens. But it's called Leave Her to Heaven. So 1945. He has a very short role in it. So you can say like that doesn't count, Corey, but I don't know why that popped in my head. It's one that I enjoyed going back and watching. It was an earlier kind of film noir, but it's Technicolor, so it had like the candy apple red pop color to it. I mean, it just was different to watch that, and I enjoyed it. And to me, when I was watching that, I was like, wow, that has some dark thing. It's not a horror movie. I'm not gonna. Well, I don't know. It's not an outright horror movie like what you're talking about with Vincent Price, but there's some dark things that happen with it too. So I enjoyed that one a lot. He had a small role in it, so whether you can say it's a Vincent Price movie or not, but he does have a role in it. So I'm going to go with that. How about that?
I don't think I've heard of that one. I'm going to have to look into that one.
That was one I kind of bought off of a Criterion sale. There's a Criterion release of that, and I enjoyed it. Doesn't mean you have to buy it from that, but maybe it's streaming somewhere. I'd have to look, but he's got a very, very small. He's not the main character in the movie, and he's not in it for a really long time, but I enjoyed it. And like I said, it was one that I was kind of caught off guard with some of the things that that happened during the movie without it being an outright horror movie. So.
Cool, man.
You know what's one I'll hear often? I will actually hear this often, and he's good in it. It's another one that he's not a main character. I believe it's actually his last movie. It's Edward Scissorhands.
Oh yeah.
I will usually hear people say like, "Oh, I love Vincent Price and Edward Scissorhands," and it's great to see him in it, but it's
he still
It's more
delivers
like
some
a
great.
Johnny Depp movie, really. But it's. But like, am I correct on that? Is that his last movie? I think that
Yeah, I
was his
believe
last
so.
movie.
Yeah.
And then he died like a few months later. I think he died in '93.
I forget about him being in that. Actually, it's been a long time since I've seen it. But.
Yeah, he
That's-
that was his last actual film. I remember hearing about that, and even in that film, he just his delivery on it was just so like you felt bad when he's dying in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean,
Yeah,
it's just like him holding the hands up and he couldn't complete Edward and stuff. It's just like I
yeah,
don't know. He's still even at that age, he was still delivering it, man. I mean, even in Dead Heat, he was great in Dead Heat. You
Mm.
know, even though it wasn't
yeah.
really his film, he was the villain and stuff like that. But I still enjoyed him in that. I mean, yeah, it's
You know,
just one of the greats.
I know like the Scream Factory volume sets that they make. They'll give you like these old like I forget like what show, like BBC like specials, and like it'll just be him talking and like getting ready to like present movies and stuff. But I could just hear him talk and just be like, ooh, I just get drawn in by his deep voice like right away when I hear him talk, and like seeing those like old like segments and like the pretty much the '80s and stuff. He was gray hair and everything, but. Yeah, Vincent Price is just something I really resonate. It's just, his movies really resonated for me growing up. Just that gothic, horror feel to the movies and everything he done. Most of them are Edgar Allan Poe movies, but yeah, it's just something that really stood out. I know some people will be like, well, like, for me, it was Alfred Hitchcock and The Twilight Zone. Like, I like that stuff. It just didn't really grip me as much as Vincent Price movies did. I don't know why. Like I guess it really just was House on Haunted Hill and just discovering everything else as a kid. It just really did it for me.
Yeah, man, I know what you mean. I have a buddy of mine, a real close friend of mine, he's all about Alfred Hitchcock. And yeah, it's never really for me. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I think for me it was like The Birds and Psycho were my probably biggest. I think I like The Birds more than Psycho. Hot take, but no, I totally feel you, man. Like you're either this or this, in a lot of aspects.
That's
It's
interesting.
almost like the ongoing argument of Star Trek or Star Wars. In a way.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you're not wrong with that. I'm gonna go back to the chat real quick. It looks like Zodiac is saying gimmick beard. So if the stream is gimmick beard, we should name it the gimmick beard 4. I don't know. Looks like everybody's saying hi to each other. Rosalia, and I don't know who she's directing this towards, but I tickler beard. Maybe Texas beard.
the tingler, I think, is right.
Shake it around, Texas. Shake it around.
Works
Shake it
for
around.
me though.
It's Vincent Price's only porno movie. Thigh tickler beards.
His long lost film that we don't know about.
He does a full frontal in it too.
Whole new.
Oh,
we see him in a whole new light now.
He does his best Buffalo Bill impression.
It puts the lotion on.
Just hearing that song in my head, the Goodbye Horses song.
I need to watch. I know that some people don't call. Sorry, sidetrack again. I know I'm good at it, really, really good at it. But Silence of the Lambs, that's one. I know it's not. Some people don't consider it an outright horror movie, but that's another one I haven't watched in a long time that I could throw in this month. That's it. Sorry, it just made me think of that when you were saying that. But.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I remember. I actually, when I was a kid and I saw it, I thought it was a horror movie.
I'd call it a horror movie, but I know some people, when you're talking about arguments about this or that with, movies or what you like better or whatever, that's an argument I hear a lot of times. And I'm like, whatever you want to call it, that was one that freaked me out when I saw it. It gave me creepy vibes, and it's one I could throw in October, no problem. So,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say because I mean, for me back then was just like where he puts the other dude's face on. And then
Yeah.
when he guts the one guy and leaves him up like strung up at the end when he's escaping. I mean,
Yep.
not to mention
Yeah.
you got a cameo from the man himself, George A. Romero. He's one
Yeah.
of the guards. You know,
Yep.
it's like
Yeah.
to me, you know, I didn't learn about the Romero thing until later, but I mean that to me is like okay, it's a you know, for me it's a horror movie. I know it can be psychological. I see it as a psychological horror, but I mean it has the elements. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
It's definitely a horror movie, man. It really is. Maybe it's not in like the traditional like aspect of a horror movie, but I remember like when it came out, I was pretty damn young and my mom brought it home. She rented it. It was like day one on the shelf, available new release VHS to, rent. And she rented it and she's like, "You're not watching this." I had to fucking, sit down and like tell her like I'm going to be okay to watch it. And I got through and I was like, that wasn't so was it? Like, like Jesus Christ. But I just know a lot of people that are like back then when that came out, like people that are like into like thrillers and stuff. I feel like a lot of those people they enjoyed the movie, but they were afraid to admit that, oh, I like a horror movie. So I'm not going to label it as a horror movie. I don't like those things. But I like Silence of the Lambs. Like it seemed like a lot of people were like that. Like when it first was, came out, everyone's trying to like, analyze it and take it in.
I can see where that's kind of where you talk about some things that do crossovers. They cross over genres or markets, and that might be one of those where it. Well, like you said, some people might be afraid to say like, "Oh, I liked a horror movie," but it kind of crossed over where maybe some horror fans enjoyed it, and some people that liked psychological like crime thrillers liked it as well. And it was winning awards and everything. So it kind of crossed over some boundaries between a few different genres.
Yeah, it's like I really think that like when it came out at that time in '91, like people were like that. It was like, oh, I'm afraid to admit I liked a horror movie here, so I'm not going to say it's a horror movie. Like it just seemed like some people were really like that. Like, just stop fucking sugarcoating shit here, man. Just say you liked it, man. So what?
Yeah.
It's a horror movie.
I think we lost Russell. Well, hopefully he'll be back soon. No, but I know what you mean and I think it really, if you think about it, because in the 80s you always had like all the serial killer stuff. I feel like back then the Satanic Panic, all that stuff, but you had like the Richard Ramirez stuff. You had like all that stuff going on in the 80s, and then it's like then you get this film, so it's kind of like it I don't know. I feel like it resonated more with people back then because it's almost like, okay, this is a film of this, even though they had like Manhunter before that and everything. I just feel like this was like that it basically culminated into this, because I know there was also Cape Fear as well, which I'm kind of on the fence of. I think that's a horror movie also. That's also one of those that you can kind of put in that argument, well, is it? I mean, the guy is kind of stalking this family, and he kind of like
putting fear into their lives. And
and that's another one. I think, I mean, De Niro was insane in that movie. He was great.
Yeah.
But it also can be like, well, is it really a horror? Is it more just like
I always think of that movie theater scene with him. I don't know.
Where he's like laughing in the middle of the theater
with the cigar and like I don't know. I always think of that. That's the one that jumps out right out the bat.
I have a question for both of you with that movie, and this is just my personal opinion, but I really think if you don't have Jodie Foster in that movie, it wouldn't have been as popular with people that are not fans of horror movies that saw it. I really think her in general is what really brought people to want to see it. Besides the talk of it, and I'm not going to just sit here and just give her all the credit, but I'm sure Anthony Hopkins being in it too was probably another reason why people wanted to see it. But I personally think, without, like, let's say you take Jodie Foster out of it, and you put in another female that's just not as popular, I don't think word would have really got out on it. And I also feel like potentially the movie might not have been as good. You guys think without Jodie Foster, like, would it be as effective and, like that popular, like, getting people that are not in the horror movies to go out and see it? Because that movie really did make people that weren't into horror movies go out and see that.
I think she was huge for it. And I think Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins had a great chemistry. That man, their interactions, it's awesome. And even some like roles that are not the main roles in there, like you even see like Scott Glenn in there too, where I love him. You know, I like a lot of Westerns and, you know, some other things that he's in. So, you know, he played a lot of different roles, but they had a lot of great actors in there. But I'd say it might not be as big. So I'll just say that I think Jodie Foster brought a lot to the table, and maybe bringing, like you said, Sean, bringing some fans, like horror fans in to see the movie. They see her name, and even Anthony Hopkins too. But man, those two, I think, were awesome together in that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the sequel.
Yeah. Yeah.
She wasn't
Yeah.
in it, and it didn't do as well.
Yep.
That's one of my issues with Hannibal is Julianne Moore is just like, not doing much for me. And like, you know, I really like Ridley Scott too. He directed it. I like him a lot. And it's just like, but like, you know, the only thing that really saves that movie for me is Gary Oldman and all of his disgusting gestures and slurping. And the first time I ever saw Hannibal, I saw it in the theater and I had no idea it was Gary Oldman. I had no idea that was him.
Yeah.
I had no idea, dude. That's how fucking, you know, like covered in disgusting makeup he was. And, you know, he disguised his voice really well. And like, honestly, I really think Gary Oldman is my favorite actor of all time. Like, I don't think anybody's on his level.
No.
Nice.
I would definitely agree with that. I mean, my favorite actor of all time is Jack Nicholson. And in tops, it would be John Cusack is in that too. But Gary Oldman, man, he is like the professional Dracula. You know, it's just like, I mean, even in Fifth Element, you know, when he plays Zorg or whatever. I mean,
Leon the Professional, I always think with him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, I love when he takes his pills, man. I always wanted to do that, even though I don't know what he's doing.
Oh my gosh, he is nuts in that, but like in a great way. Like it's man, he's terrifying in that movie. You think about what you would be on the other side of that, and you're, you know, some of the other, even the cops that were on his. Sorry, I'm going way off on that, but he's great in that movie.
No, I mean, I love the fact that they show it once where he does the pill thing, right? But then later on, when the girl's in the bathroom, like you don't even see it, but you know, and just him,
you see the reaction.
It's just like, man, that always got me. I don't know if that was just like a director's choice not to show it again because you already saw it once and you saw how like he just kind of like boom and he just mowed down everybody. Like even his own guys were afraid of him, you know?
Oh yeah, they're ducking out of the way. Yeah, he did that thing where he was like twisting around and leaning his head back and doing that, and you're like, oh gosh, what's coming?
And then he's like, pills start kicking in. The pills start kicking in right there. But you know, I just love like his character in that is you have a psychopathic schizophrenic who's into Beethoven and Mozart, and it's just like, how does this make sense? And it shouldn't. It really shouldn't. But Gary Oldman sells it.
Yeah, it's like I mean, even when he was Gordon in the Dark Knight films.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, just the different stuff that he's done over time. You know,
he's had a big range.
Role in True Romance as well.
I mean, like, you know, how scary he is as Drexel. I want to hang out with Drexel, though. He looks like fun. Even though, the guy's swinging guns around all the time, fucking acting like he's a black guy and shit. But I want to hang out with Drexel, man.
Yeah, he's had quite a range. You know, it's kind of funny when you talk about some actors or actresses that talk about being like cornered into a certain type of role. He's kind of been all over the place, and which is probably, he probably loves it. You know, he can kind of play around, you know, and do some different things. But yeah, he's in. He
really is an actor that can just turn it on and just transform into something else. And I'm like, you know, like I'm serious when I say this. Like, I don't think there's many actors out there that are anywhere near his level. Just the way he's able to transform into something else. And you get him in makeup too. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, that Hannibal movie, it was like, wait, that was Gary Oldman, the guy in the wheelchair? It's
Yeah.
all fucked up. Like that, I was wow, blown away by that. I didn't realize it was him.
Yeah, man, that was a good one. That was definitely, yeah, I remember that one I actually saw as a VHS rental. I think I was at my dad's one weekend because he would rent movies. And I just remember seeing that one. I was like, oh, it's not. And then, like yourself, Sean, Julianne Moore, as an actress, she doesn't do it for me, except for in Big Lebowski. I think she's perfect as Maud in that. But like,
Yeah.
I found her annoying in Boogie Nights. I found her really annoying in Assassins, that Stallone movie.
Oh yeah.
I found her really annoying in that. I was just like, I don't know, man. I can't. I just don't. I don't know. I just don't like her.
Yeah. I mean,
I
like
don't see it.
another thing is like Jodie Foster is so good in Lambs that it's like,
Mhm.
all right, I'm gonna set the bar. Who wants to reach it? Good luck. Like it's just like it really is, man. It's and
Well, it's
like
kind
I can appreciate what Ridley Scott tried to do with his vision and a new actress and everything, but it just I did at best I could say the movie has its moments.
hmm Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some stuff in it that I was like, oh wow, that's interesting, or that's cool. And I mean, Gary Oldman, like you said, he's like, man, he's great in that. Um,
Yeah, it's
I
just
get
like you hear all those slurping noises he's making, and it's just like Jesus Christ! Like talk about going all out for a role here, Jesus man.
well, it's like what was I gonna say? I guess that would lead into my next question for you guys is what are some of your like what are some of the films you have to watch for Halloween? Not necessarily Halloween like the day, but like one that you have to watch during the Halloween season. And I know you mentioned Night of the Demons earlier, Sean, but what other
Yeah,
films for you guys?
I mean, there's definitely quite a few. There really is quite a few. But I mean, like Night of Demons really is a big one. I mean, another thing is I always try to watch Halloween and Halloween 2, like right back to back, like this time of year, if I can find the time to get both of those movies in. But I mean, man, like I try to like go for ones that do involve the Halloween season. Like what else is a good one to mention? Which like some people I guess like it, some people don't. Is Hell Night that takes place on Halloween night with Linda Blair,
hmm
a 1981 movie. That's a movie that takes place on Halloween night. It's not necessarily a movie I have to watch every Halloween, but I try to find time for it.
What about you, Corey?
Don't make fun of me, but every year I got doing this with my kids. Now they're old. They're too old for it, I think now. But A Nightmare Before Christmas, I'll throw that on there. I used to watch that. I saw it in the theater when it first originally came out. Didn't like it when I
Yeah.
was that age, and then ended up really growing on me. And then when my kids were younger, that was one that you could start introducing. I'm not saying it's a horror film, but there's for a younger kid, there could be some spooky things in there with Oogie Boogie and some of the other things going on there. And I got into that, and they ended up liking it, and so we would watch that each year. And now they're too old and they don't want to watch it, and I'll still watch it by myself. Teardrop. No, but I'll still do that. I'll throw in The Crow. That
Yeah,
was one
Devil's
that
Night.
I always,
Devil's Night.
yeah, Devil's Night. I always think about that one. I have a lot of just nostalgia with that being the age I was at and going to the movies with my buddies. And that was one that was probably the second most seen movie in a theater for me was The Crow, where we'd, there we had it was before streaming and everything, and so you'd have and there was more theaters before a lot of them started shutting down. So you'd have the first run theaters that would have the brand new movie, and then you'd have what we'd call like the second run theaters, where those would move out to the older theaters, and the new movies would come into the bigger, nicer ones. But then you'd go for like $1 and you could watch a movie again, and you're like, instead of streaming a movie a second time, you'd go pay $1 and sit in a theater and watch it. And I went and saw The Crow quite a few times, so that would be in there as well. A newer one, I think, might get in the rotation a little bit more now is Cobweb, as I enjoyed that one. And that, I think, they did a bad job releasing that movie the original time around. Was not anywhere close, but it has that Halloween vibe. They have the pumpkin patch in there, you know, and everything that's going on. They have the trick-or-treaters in there, but man, they released it in a weird time of the year, and I think it would have done better if they would have ran around a Halloween time with it. But not saying greatest movie ever, but that's another one I could see throwing in for a Halloween time movie.
Nice. What about you, Texas?
Well, pretty much one for me is because I'll watch it several times a year, is the OG Dawn of the Dead, and you know, of course, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But one I think I'm going to start watching is a one that came out, like, I think it was last year, Dark Country or whatever, about the, I might have the title wrong, but it's about the, it's sort of reminiscent of Children of the Corn a little bit, but it's about these, you know, this, a kid who, you know, all these kids vie for like a contest, and basically they're being sacrificed to something, but they don't know it. They think that the person, you know, is getting a new chance at life to go somewhere else instead of their shitty hole of a town, you know, and stuff like that. And that one was really good. Maybe it's Dark Harvest. I think that might be.
I think it's Dark Harvest. That one sounds familiar.
Yeah, and actually I really like that one a lot, so that's one that I'm going to do a rewatch of pretty soon here. And then of course Bambi, you know, which, oh no, I'm just kidding about that, you know.
That was a horror movie for all of us as a kid.
Right. But yeah, those I'd say. And then Basket Case also is another one that I watch, you know, during this time of year. Yeah.
I think for me, it's for the most part, I have to watch at least Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead on Halloween. I have to watch that. That's been a yearly tradition, you know, man, for over a decade now. And all these other movies that are in rotation will be ever since I came across it was Trick or Treat. I mean, I love that film. It's awesome. Beyond that, I'll throw on any Universal monster film. Love those. The original. I mean, Creature from the Black Lagoon is always going to be my favorite, but I love the Wolfman. You know, the original Frankenstein. Bride of Frankenstein's really good too. But yeah, those are some of the films. Some of those, and then newer stuff or 80s stuff would be Jason 7. I love Jason 7. It's my favorite one. I also still love the first one. The first one is one of my favorites. One I need to, if I could, I have it digitally, but if I had a physical copy of it, and it would be really, really hard to get a physical copy of it, is The Void. I would like to put that one into rotation. Like I said, I have it digitally, so I can't watch it. The only thing is, you know, to actually have it physically, I would love to just pop that in. Beyond that, I mean, you know, to piggyback what Sean was saying, I mean, Halloween, but for me, I'd go Halloween 3. Like I've done that in the past, where it's like I watched the first one, then I watched Halloween 3 for whatever reason. I just jumped to Halloween 3, and then The Fog. Love The Fog. I mean, and of course The Thing. You know, I have to watch it. I mean, I could watch The Thing, and I'll watch The Thing several times throughout the year, but for whatever reason, The Fog and The Thing, like those two are. I have to have it in October. I have to watch it. So those are
they're great ones. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that would jump into another question: is favorite Carpenter film?
Ooh,
That's not easy, man.
why are you trying to make this tough on us? Come on, man. No.
I mean, I'm not going to answer yet, but I'm just going to say over the years, mine has changed. It's changed over the years, and I'm still like not even fully settled on my favorite one.
Which of your kids do you love more? I'm kidding. It's not that dramatic, but you know, like sometimes it's hard when you're like, wow, I love a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, while y'all are thinking about it, I'm gonna run back to the chat so we can catch up a little bit because I think I'm pretty far behind again.
Yeah, it happens, man.
It's easy to do, man.
Yeah,
I do it all the
saying
time.
Laffy Taffies. I guess he likes Laffy Taffy.
Oh, yeah. Which flavor, Chester? I was asking about your Skittles earlier about which color you'd go for, but you have to say which
could
Laffy
do
Taffy flavor you like.
anyone but banana.
The banana.
Fucking banana ones are gross.
People
man.
either absolutely love banana or absolutely hate it. There's no like, it's okay. It's like one extreme or the other. But.
It always like, I don't know, like the banana ones, like they would really linger in your mouth when you're done eating it. You're like, what the hell? They just don't taste that good, man.
Rosalia was saying she likes the OG The Fly. She liked Vincent Price in the.
Oh,
original Fly.
nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Rosalia. I like it.
That's a classic. I love the makeup in that one.
I
It's
like
really good for the time. I mean, it's just like wow to see that. That's really really cool. Just saying, ever seen Vincent Price House of Wax movie? Yep.
Yeah, it was also a 3D movie too.
Yeah.
And then Rosalia saying House of Bikini Wax. I think Rosalia.
I think I replied to her in the chat and I said, I think you were looking at the wrong movie. Or a different one.
I wish more people out there had her sense of humor, man.
She has a good way of putting a little spin on the movie titles to give you a little laugh.
Yeah, she just knows how to have fun, man. I wish I knew more people like that.
Oh yeah, she's just having a good time.
Seriously.
Yeah, just hanging out, having a good time.
And then she was talking about his other film.
Appendage hands.
Looks like we got a Ninja. Jason, good sir. Thanks for stopping by.
Doing, man?
And Russell, apparently he knows that Edward one, the remake there is mommy and daddy film.
Yeah, it's an actual film. Unfortunately, I didn't film it.
Is it for real?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've been educated tonight. I've been educated.
He has, instead of scissors, he has
things, appendages.
Just certain appendages. Yeah.
Edward dildo hand.
skip my comments, Rosalia.
Jason, our man from down under, says, "I love The Birds. Favorite Hitchcock film." Yeah, I kind of flip flop between The Birds. I think I would say The Birds does edge out Psycho for me.
Oh, The Rear Window for me, I think. I don't know, but it's funny how different ones hit different people, in different ways. It's fun to. I couldn't argue too hard against any of them because he has a lot of great movies. But
Don says, "Hey Jason, good to read you, my dude." So it looks like Don is still with us. Well, I'm assuming but this is like way back, so I'm trying. Just says Psycho was my favorite film. Everybody's saying hi to each other. Christina, I just saw Chris Isaac in the cast of Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, I could have sworn I heard that somewhere, but I never saw that one.
Larry.
What's up?
I'm sorry. Like, finish what you're saying, but I wanted to ask you something.
I didn't. Yeah, I think I heard about that somewhere, but I can't place him in that film. I don't. Maybe it's been so long since I've seen it, so that's why I can't place him in it. But yeah, I don't remember that or where he would pop up. I don't remember where he pops up.
Now, you said that you're a fan of The Creature from the Black Lagoon, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I am too, but I mean, did you hear the news that James Wan is doing a new Creature from the Black Lagoon movie? Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, honestly, like, I've been wanting to see a new one. I've really been wanting to see a new take for The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I think James Wan can do it, dude. I think he can.
Hopefully. I mean, I can't say like all those movies are perfect because it's like when you get to the third one, it's kind of like I really don't. I don't know why they changed it up so much, like with the look and everything, and they made him this big hulking, like almost like Frankenstein looking hulking creature. But the first two, it's just, especially the first one, I love it so much. So when I read the news, I was kind of like, but I mean, if he if he does it sort of like a death sentence, like if he does James Wan death sentence type, because I really love that film from him, and that first Saw movie is like incredible. I just feel like after him doing the two Aquaman films, and I still haven't seen *Malignant* yet, but I need to check that one out. But
I like
yeah,
*Malignant*. I thought it was good. Like, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest James Wan fan either. Like, I don't like everything he's done, but I just think he is capable of understanding certain areas of horror. And with his name attached to that right now, I'm I'm just happy to hear, like, all right, we're gonna get a new Lagoon Creature movie. It's gonna happen, but is it gonna be good? And I don't know. Like, yeah, I know Universal's got this new Wolfman movie coming out with
yeah.
Julie Garner, and it's supposed to be a horror comedy, and I'm just not interested. Like, what's Universal fucking doing now, man? Universal's just like, they seem like they're trying their best to just ram the Universal monsters right into the ground, and that's why I'm hoping this Lagoon movie, with James Wan's gonna be good.
Well, I mean, we're due for a decent one, right? Because I mean, they had the quote unquote that dark universe that crashed and burned, like it failed miserably. Although I would say that the Dracula Untold, for me, I saw it in the theater. I still feel like I thought it was a decent film. Um, I mean, I like it. I enjoy the film. A lot of people hated on it, but since then, what do we have? We had The Mummy, featuring Tom Cruise.
Oh man,
You know,
that's the worst
That one
one.
crashed and burned.
That
yeah,
is
and
the worst one for me. That's the worst one out of all of them, man.
I saw half of it,
Sorry.
and I was just like, oh, this is so bad. And that's
Yeah,
because it was already on
they're-
FX, and I was just like, oh my god. I was interested in it when Cruise wasn't attached to it, because I was like, oh, that's cool. Like they're kind of. I was interested that it was going to be a female mummy and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's interesting, and I like the actress because I loved her in Atomic Blonde and some other movies that she's been in. But yeah, I was just like, when he got attached, I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be a Tom Cruise film with the mummy somewhere in there.
Well, and
And
it
then,
sounded interesting at first too when they were like throwing out the idea of the classic monster universe. Like they
Mhm.
were gonna. I know they were trying to recreate the whole MCU thing.
Yeah.
Like having all the characters with their individual movies, and then have the big team up movies and like make billions of dollars. But it just didn't work out. But at the time, I was like, oh, that. I agree with like what you were saying. Like I heard about that before Tom Cruise and everything, and that they were going to do the classic monster universe and maybe tie them in together. And I was like, oh, that might be interesting. And then it
There's
didn't.
already been 2 tours of this, though.
Yeah.
There's already been, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. We fucked up. Now we're gonna do it again. Oh shit, we fucked up again. Now we're just gonna stop for now.
But that's the thing. Like I get tired of, man, there's so many remakes of movies where it's just like, just come up with something original. I like, and instead of us being like, oh, are they going to mess up the original or do a good remake of it? I'm like, why? It just seemed like that's the crutch that they're leaning on right now. It's just like that one a long time ago did a really good job. Let's grab that and redo it. And it's kind of like me being like, I'm going to write a book, and I go grab, some classic novel that was huge or whatever that they read in colleges, for every English literature class, but I'm just going to change a few characters and like modernize it a little bit and say it's my own book. And it's like, well, no, I don't know. It's
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know y'all's opinion, but the Invisible Man, I thought that one was good with Moss. I was actually
Yeah,
surprised at how good that one was. I was like, man, they modernized it. They gave it an interesting twist, and then I was like, man, I hope they do another one. I feel like that film was simple in a sense. Like they simplified it. It wasn't all big and flashy and everything. Yeah, I mean, the invisible suit and stuff like that. Spoiler alert if anybody hasn't seen it, but yeah, that was one that I was like, oh man, this is really good. I hope they do another one. I hope they keep it, like that, just kind of like a small story, a small film like that, and
actually
then,
never seen that one.
I enjoyed it for what it was. I wasn't like blown away by it, but I was interested. It pulled me in a way. I think I probably gave it a 7 out of 10. I definitely like it. I haven't seen it in a little while, but I went into it. I know that with like low expectations. I know that I was like, all right, here we get fucking go, another piece of shit, and was like, oh wow, like this was actually watchable. So wouldn't mind going back and watching that again. It's been a while. I only seen it the one time.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I was hoping they'd do a sequel because I'd like to see where it goes. But and then you've seen the screenshots of like what's his name? Oh, why am I drawing a blank? Bale as Frankenstein. Have y'all seen the screenshots for that?
No.
No, you haven't seen that?
I don't think so.
Let me see if I can bring it up. But yeah, that's another one that I was like, oh man, what are y'all doing? It's like let me see if I can bring it up real quick. I want to see an image because it's okay. So yeah, I found it. Let's see. So I can share this here real quick with everybody if anybody else hasn't seen it. Sorry guys. Sorry everybody.
The whole chat's gonna leave now.
Yeah, so that's like some of the that's one of the screenshots we've seen. I don't know if y'all can tell. He's got a tattoo that says dope. They're going for the, what do you call it? I guess the Leto look, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's just like really.
It looks like Frankenstein is like posing for a Calvin Klein ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GQ close up.
Buy our fragrance.
It's like the black and white and how like clean the picture looks. It just gives me this Calvin Klein commercial ad like vibe to it. I don't know.
Savage, like Johnny Depp. I think Johnny Depp wasn't Johnny Depp gonna be like the Invisible Man or something in the old Dark Universe, and I think Bardem was gonna be like Frankenstein or something like that. I remember that photo of them all together, and I was just like, I don't know.
Oh, sorry, I'm sidetracking again, but I was thinking of Kevin Bacon as Hollow Man. I think that was the one I was thinking of when I was thinking of Invisible Man, but like same type of deal. But
yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see.
That's for sure. That's like greenlit. They're making the movie, or they're
yeah. Like that's. I think that was the first image, like one of the first images, and I saw it. And I was like, oh man, why are we doing this? Why are we still doing this? We did it with Leto with the Joker, and then we did it now. We did it recently again with the Crow. It's just kind of like, I don't know.
I haven't seen the new Crow either.
I don't want to see it.
I mean, like, at this point, most of it is money, just money grabbing bullshit at this fucking point. But now it just seems like, let's just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. It's really getting to that point, man. Like, well, I'm tired of it. I know that, man. I'm really fucking tired of it.
Well, you don't come up with anything new. Just take something that did well in the past and put a modern edge to it that they think is a modern edge to it, and like throw it back out there and see what happens.
Well, that was my whole thing with the Crow. Is like I feel like it's dating it to this time. Like the look of him and everything. It felt
dated even for it being the new version.
Yeah, no, I felt it's dating it to this time. So like, I feel like the original Crow, you can watch it and it's timeless, in my opinion. I feel like you can watch it and it's like, when did this come out? Did it come out in the 90s? Did it come out like in the 80s? Did it come out now? Like just the look of it is so like amazing for the time. It's like if you think about it, but I feel like that. And even, this, like the way it looks, I'm like, man, you're already dating it to this time, to this era, these 2000s era.
You just don't think it would, it won't hold the, I have not seen it, but you don't think it will hold the test of time kind of a thing? Like in 10 years, you could watch it and be like, ooh, that's dated kind of a thing? Or is that what you're saying?
The Crow remake?
The remake.
Well, I haven't seen it.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you were.
I haven't seen it. Just looking at the characters and then from the reviews I have seen,
Okay.
They said that the villains are not that memorable. They're just like generic villains.
Mm.
You know, it's not like the villains from the original where it's like, oh, top dollar. You know who
Yeah.
that was. You
Fun
know,
Boy.
you knew Fun Boy. You
Fun
knew,
Boy.
you know, Tintin. You knew all
Yep,
those guys.
Tintin.
You know, you knew their names. You
Yeah.
know, they were, you know,
And they had
memorable.
personalities, each one
They
of
had
them.
personalities, yeah. So it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna cut to the chat real quick again, so I can keep catching up real quick.
Sorry, we keep on sidetracking you.
No, man, it's all good. That's what all this is. That's what all this is fun for, man. That's the fun stuff. Look at him in Dracula. He was great as Vlad. Yes, definitely.
Oh, Ullman, Gary.
Yeah, Ullman is
Mhm.
great.
Yeah, sorry, I keep dropping out. I think I'm having Juno problems with like my internet tonight.
Oh man,
I don't know what's going on. You know.
Technology, it's love or hate, right? You know, it's
yeah,
always...
gotta love it. See her in
Yeah.
blindness. Is that? I'm trying to think. Is that Moss or who? I don't think I've seen the blindness.
I've not seen that either. I don't know that one. I'll have to look
Doesn't
it up.
ring a bell.
Let's see if I can look it up real quick and see who's in that.
Julianne Moore.
Oh, is it Julianne Moore? No, I
That
haven't
was
seen
the
that
one
one.
I brought up. I have not seen it, but Blindness I brought up from 2008.
Yeah,
Sorry,
2008.
Blindness with Julianne Moore.
Well, technically, that Frankenstein movie is Bride of Frankenstein. Technically, the one with Christian Bale. Like it's not, but he's playing Frankenstein. And then they also had a picture of, I think Maggie Gyllenhaal. She's directing it.
Oh,
And-
really?
Yeah, and then Jessie Buckley. Buckley, am I saying that right? She's playing the bride. So technically, it's Bride of Frankenstein, but
I don't know who that is. Jessie Buckley?
I don't know.
And more like Bride of Calvin Klein.
Bride of GQ. Was Gary Oldman and Prometheus? No. Yeah, it was Guy Pearce. That was what's his name? Waylon.
I like Guy Pearce too. He's in a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, he's pretty good as
Yeah.
well. Let's see. For
I
me,
just watched.
Halloween-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Oh gosh, now I'm just drawing a blank on the. What was the one with him and Kim Basinger and
Memento?
no, oh gosh, it's older, like set in older. Keep going. I'll think of it. Sorry, I don't want to hold you up.
Just the same for me. Halloween Friday and Elm Street for me.
L.A. Confidential. Sorry, I knew I was L.A. Confidential.
Okay.
Oh yeah, with Russell Crowe.
Yeah. Sorry.
It happens, man.
Russell
A
Crowe's
lot of movies to remember.
Especially on live streams. I could
Yeah.
forget my own name at some point in this thing, but
Pumpkinhead's also a great one. That's a good one. That was Tom Woodruff Jr. playing the Pumpkinhead. Yeah, I mean the effects in that are nice. Lance Hendrickson was great in it.
Rosalie was saving me. She threw out L.A. Confidential before I came up with it. So thank you.
Okay. Christina saying Monster Squad is fun as fuck. Yep. Can't go wrong with Monster Squad, man. I feel like that's one that you can introduce to slightly.
I've never seen it,
You've never seen
Yo.
Monster Squad?
but I think I'm too. But okay, I'm older than you, and I'm not saying. But I'm just saying. Well, I know, but there's people who you grow up with certain movies at certain points in your life, and there's some I could throw out that you'd be like, "What?" I never. But Monster Squad. I'm just saying, there's probably a time in your life when that hit that you have a lot of nostalgia for it. And I think I was just probably out of pocket at that time. I'm not saying anything wrong with it. You know what I mean, though? Where you're like, get out of here, Corey. You're like, oh, sorry. Corey must have a bad
we're
internet
having
connection.
clash.
We lost him.
No, I can totally agree with you, Corey, because my ex-wife, like, there'd be certain things that I'd like, and she'd say, I'd say, let's go see this movie. I don't want to see some kids movie, or I don't want to see this. Like Jurassic Park, she had no idea like what that was. She just thought it was some kind of goofy, like kids movie about dinosaurs. And this friend of ours, came over and he's like, "Did you guys see Jurassic Park?" And she goes, and he goes, "It's incredible. You guys should go see it." She's like, "What?" She goes,
That kids
"No."
movie?
Yeah, see, I mean, she was so
Yeah.
stupid. I mean, that's what I get for marrying well, never mind. I'm not going to say that, but
Easy. I was like, easy, buddy, easy. Keeping it
but I
PG
mean,
friendly here. No.
but she was so light, like that, and so when it came on cable, she watched it. She goes, "Hey, Jurassic Park! Oh my God, these dinosaurs are eating people, and this and that." And I said, "I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen to me and stuff." And then, but I mean, even just general like kids movies, because like one of my favorite books growing up was James and the Giant Peach, and I was like, man, I love this book, and I can't believe it's being made into a movie. And so I decided, it was like my birthday weekend, and I'm like, I'm gonna go see James and the Giant Peach. And she goes, "Why do you want to see that kids movie?" I'm like, "Look, it's my favorite book of all time, kids book of all time. I'm gonna see it with or without you. I don't care." And she's like, "Oh, okay, I'll go." And then she was like, "Oh, that was a really good movie." And I'm just, and it's just like always shaking my head. It's like, okay.
I mean,
So,
I have
so
a,
what?
I,
Oh, go ahead. Go,
Corey.
go. No, go, Larry. Go.
No, I was gonna say I have a similar story, but it involved me. Like when I had a buddy of mine who would just, it was weird because we would hang out at his house and he would watch that's where we rented, was it Jason Goes to Hell? So we would watch like movies like that, but then he would go and watch like Toy Story. Like back then, I was like, I was in my hardcore metal phase. Like, oh, why do you want to watch that? And I mean, Toy Story is actually pretty good. I didn't give it a chance back then. I was just like, man, why are you wanting to watch cartoons, like animated films? Let's watch horror, or let's watch this or anything. I always would give him grief about it, and yeah, no, it's just I don't know. So I understand that, but now it's like going back and I saw it the first time. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then, but it was weird though because I did like Nightmare Before Christmas before I saw until I finally saw Toy Story, and I was just like, oh, okay, so this is pretty good. And then, but what were you gonna say, Corey?
I was going to say, just running in probably ties into the Monster Squad thing. One I still haven't seen. It's still wrapped. I had to grab it off my shelf because a good friend of mine, she said, "Oh, you got to watch this," and they had the Steelbook come out, but was The Gate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So I have not watched it yet. It's still wrapped. I'm planning on watching it here this month. I have not watched it yet.
Corey,
But is that kind of a Monster Squad ish kind of? Does that fall
No,
into that realm or not?
well,
I don't
sort of,
know.
but it's a bit harder edge, I think.
Monster. Okay.
It's darker than Monster Squad.
Okay. Then maybe
Yeah,
that'll be a
just
good
by
one.
like a few notches, I'd say. Like, I mean, The Gate's something I grew up with. Like, it's. I mean, my brother had it dubbed off the TV on a VHS tape, and we put that on, and we would take that shit seriously. Like, we'd be all quiet, stop acting up and stuff. Like, oh my god.
But yeah, I gotta bust that one out and watch it here.
Oh man, you'd have fun with
that's a really good one, man. Very atmospheric movie.
Yeah.
It's Stephen Dorff's first movie too. As a kid, he's like 7
Pretty
years
young,
old.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, don't feel bad about that, Corey, because there was one that kind of escaped me for like years, and I finally saw that I think sometime earlier this year. So I was like, I need to see this, and oh man, it's so good. Really good.
Yeah, even the effects in it are really, really solid, man. With the creatures and everything. I mean, it's a really good one.
There's a lot of claymation, stop motion in it, and a lot of that stuff is still effective over today's CGI.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You see some of that stop motion stuff. You still know what it is, but some of it still looks better now than some of the CGI that was done, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
But
one last thing I want to say about the Monster Squad. The Gill Man is still the best one I've ever seen in my life. The monster from, the creature from the Black Lagoon, Gill Man, and that, to me, dude, when I first saw that shit, dude, I was shitting my pants, dude, with the mouth moving, and he's taking he's taking shotgun shells to the chest, he's still moving, dude. That scared the fucking piss out of me, man. I still think that's the best looking Gill Man I've ever seen in any movie, is the Monster Squad.
Yeah, I mean, for me, outside of the original, that Monster Squad one is gorgeous, man. It's just like I wish he would have appeared. Like I wish he would have done more And
Yeah.
and again, that's Tom Woodruff Jr. I mean, the guy that did Pumpkinhead. You know, he was in the suit. You know, it's like
Yeah.
he's the one person aside from Tom Noonan is like that I haven't met from the monsters of the Monster Squad. Like those are the only two I have yet to meet. Like he's definitely one of them. I would love to pick his brain like about that. And Buddy Ross is here. He says Blob 80s cut. He loves the 80s Blob, man. I love that one. I love that one over the original for sure. Christina's saying Elm Street always. Rosalia saying Monster Squad. Oh man. And Rosalia is also saying she's not a fan of Trick or Queef. How can you not like that?
That one did not get mentioned yet. Like I thought this was great for a modern anthology, man. I really enjoyed this. I wouldn't say it's something I watch every year. It's not like I can get through Halloween without it, but I really enjoyed it for what it is. I found it to be a simple take for a horror anthology. But what is it? Legendary Pictures. They were supposed to release this in theaters, and then last minute, it was like 2 weeks before its release date. Let's pull it. No, we're not going to give it a theatrical release. And now it's starting to get big with horror fans. Like, they screwed up with that.
Definitely, man. Like, that was one that I was definitely late to the party because it was just like I only saw it like maybe 2 years back. Everybody and their mother was like, "Oh, Sam, trick or treat, Sam," and all that. I would see it everywhere, and I'm just like, "What's the big deal?" You know? And when I finally saw it, a buddy of mine who would always like, show me all these different horror films. I was like, "Hey man, have you ever seen Trick or Treat?" He's like, "Oh yeah, man, I love that movie. How come you never told me it was this good?" And that's when you were away for a bit, Sean. I had mentioned that's one of the films I have to watch during Halloween. It's one that I have to have ever since then. I have to watch it either at the beginning or at the end, somewhere in between. I have to watch it during the Halloween season.
It does a good job at capturing, it's Halloween. There's decorations. It's just bleeding and Halloween decorations all over the place.
The one thing for me about Trick or Treat is 2 words: Anna Paquin. That's all I need.
She's overrated.
Ah.
Yeah, I didn't like her as Rogue, and then that show True Blood, I was like, like I got tired of it.
Oh, the soap opera on HBO, the vampire soap opera.
Yeah.
See, I used to live with a girl that made me watch that every fucking Sunday, man. I'd be like, can we put the Eagles game on? No, True Blood's coming on. I'm like, fuck, man, I gotta watch this.
But the Eagles. But the Eagles.
I wanna watch the Birds, man. What's going on here?
And Christina was saying The Thing. Yeah, that's another. I mean, love that film. The Fog, love it. And then Rosalia chimes in with Dawn of the Dish Soap.
That's a good one.
Dawn of the Dish. I like that. She's good at that. She's on point with those things.
Ross said Dark Harvest. Yeah, that's the one. Is basically he was saying Pumpkinhead meets Lord of the Flies. I was like, oh, I have to check it out. I don't think I've seen it. Chester saying Halloween 1 and 2 from the time of the year. Dawn of the Pope. Of course, Night of the Creeps, another great one. Season of the Vivitch. Season of the Witch, love that one. Night of the Comet, another great one. Halloween 78, you can't, I mean, wearing my jersey, my baseball Halloween 78 jersey.
There you go.
Starman is a horror film. Well, it's an alien movie, right? It's a nice alien movie.
Yeah.
Just one favorite Carpenter.
I like Starman.
I like it too.
Bridges.
Bridges was great in that.
Yeah.
Stuff between Halloween, The Thing. Oh, I think this is part where we were talking about favorite Carpenter film. Which have y'all decided, or are we still?
Yeah, I don't think I gave my answer, but I honestly I think it's Escape from New York. It's I don't like. I mean, like I love Halloween. I love The Thing too, but like there's just something that really stands out about Escape from New York, and then also on top of it, the amount of classic actors that Carpenter was able to get in that movie. It's just like, man, it's just, you got Donald Pleasance, Lee Van Cleef, like you got him. It's just like, what the hell? Like somebody managed to get all these classic actors together in one crazy apocalyptic movie. It's just, I don't know. It's a damn near perfect movie. And then you got, Snake Plissken in it too, Kurt Russell, his miserable self, and that is just so good, man.
No, I mean, yeah, that was originally that back when I was a kid. That was my favorite Carpenter film. Was Escape from New York. I always love that the dystopian, and I mean, just look at now. I mean, I love Blade Runner because it's like that whole dystopian future, world and everything. It's just, just thinking of like, just how I wanted to see everything outside of New York. It made me think of like what is everywhere else like that, and I loved movies like that.
Yeah, it really makes you think into things. You get a visual going, and you really feed on that, and then that's it, dude.
Escape is definitely my favorite Carpenter. I saw it in the theaters when it came out, and I absolutely loved it.
Nice.
I mean, even the soundtrack, just it totally gets you into it, man. Like I mean, like like one movie I hate to actually not really mention is Assault on Precinct 13, man. It's it's one of his first movies, but what a knockout fucking film that is, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's like you said, Corey. Like it's like, which one is your favorite child?
Yep.
What about you, Corey?
Ghost of Mars. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
I was like,
no.
Corey's losing connection here.
Yeah, we lost Corey. No, I just had to be a smarty for a second. The Thing is always tops for me, but I always have a thing for They Live. I don't know. I have fun with
It's a good one.
Yeah,
that is a good one.
It's I saw it last year at Frightmare with John Carpenter, doing Q&A right before it. It's
nice.
like it's a movie I saw in second run theaters with my uncle. Would take me to the Dollar Theater, and he took me to see that one when I was a kid. And it's definitely Roddy Piper's great in it. I mean it's great. It's a great film, and that's why it's so hard for me. For the longest time, it was Escape from New York, and then it became Big Trouble in Little China, and then it became Halloween, and then it became The Thing, and then it's just like I flip flop a lot. And then when go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I went through that too, man. Like it's my favorite Carpenter film has really changed a lot over the years, but just looking at just look at everything he's done really, and I really think Escape from New York is just one that stands out, in the spotlight for me.
Yeah, for me it's The Thing. I absolutely love that film. I also really, really, really love The Fog. I love that movie a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like that one doesn't get as much recognition as it should. I don't know, but I mean, The Thing is definitely, over time, it's just been like, as I'll flip flop though, it'll be like Big Trouble, The Thing, Halloween, The Thing. Like it jumps around, and then even later on, I never saw it, but it not until recently, like years past. But Prince of Darkness is also a really good one.
Oh yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah.
That one's another great one. I mean, it's like for him to go from Big Trouble to that, like you can see it almost looks like Big Trouble, with some of the actors as well as the way it's shot and everything. But yeah, even the score for that one is really good as well. I mean, all of his scores are great.
Well, he's kind of crazy too, where he was doing scores, wasn't he, to save money? Like he was going to do it himself, but he did such an awesome job with them as well. Like that's kind of crazy where it's like, oh, I'll save money. I'll just do it. And he just knocks it out of the park. But,
and then, I mean, it's funny that I love The Thing, but he didn't do that one. It was Marconi that did that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
he did limited work as far like him and Alan Haworth. They did very limited music on that, but it was really, Ennio that just really, really took off with the actual, score and sound of it really. But But like one thing is like I don't like I'm surprised that more directors didn't really take his approach. Like, yo, this dude knows what he's doing. He's musically inclined and he's saving money at the same time. Why don't I give that a shot? Nobody else has ever done that.
But there might be just a lot of them that just didn't have that talent. Like that's kind of crazy to have the director, cinematography, and the musical writing skills. That's kind of all around her right there.
Now, like, go ahead.
No, I'll just say, like, Corey is right though. Like, you do need to have some kind of like, a talent going. Be like, musically inclined in some way. Have have the general idea of rhythm and everything. But I guess if you don't have it, you can't take that step forward with it.
I feel bad. I failed. I'm gonna keep on talking. I'll be right back here. But
oh, good.
I'll catch up with a couple more tests before we continue.
I gotta go see a man about a mule real quick. I'll be right back.
All right. Chris Isaac is random SWAT guy. Oh, okay, interesting. James Wan Swamp Thing series was great. I started watching that. Actually, the effects in that look great. Creature from the Black Spittoon. Tom Cruise Mummy movie, messed up dark universe. Yeah, definitely. Everybody's.
I had to change something.
Nice. I see that.
my
I caught it.
Kind of covering it, but
not a movie, but Silent Hill 2 remake is really effing good. Lots of screaming and swearing from the game room. Oh, nice. Hey, Chris, the slasher dude's here. How's it going, Chris? Thanks for stopping by. Everybody saying hi to everybody. I must be like really far back, I think. I don't know. Hopefully I'm not. Sorry, guys, if I am. We're just kind of running every which way. Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula, probably. We're saying hi. Nosferatu. I'm actually interested in that too. I can't wait. There's the one where Rosalia caught it.
She was helping me out there.
PG here. Now you tell me.
Yeah, and that's right. I sent back. I was like, haha, Rosalia. You have the exempt card, Rosalia. You get.
Rosalia. You're good, Rosalia.
Yeah, you choose your rating. You go for it.
I mean, if you ever saw if you ever watched In the House or go back and rewatch any of those In the House episodes, it goes crazy really quick in the chat. So you're definitely welcome here, Rosalia.
Yeah, you're good. You're always good for a good laugh. So you keep going.
Yeah, so you definitely watch The Gate, Corey.
I got it there wrapped up. Okay, isn't that a common theme with all of us? Probably we got some shrink wrapped movies we haven't cracked into and watched yet.
Oh, yeah.
And okay,
I'm not the only one about that.
I'm not the only one.
Oh man, Ross is saying you've been bad.
I know.
Still not watching The Gate.
I know. I got to get that watched. I've had it for a while now too.
The Watergate. Oh man, had Steven Dorff. Let's see. I have The Gate. Still need to watch that. See, another person that hasn't watched The Gate.
I'm not the only one.
Hey, Prince is here. This is my kind of peeps. Hola, amigos. Hey,
hello,
Prince. How's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Crow, yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Everybody saying hi to everybody. Universal Monsters starring the not Universal Monsters. Yeah, that's Monster Squad basically. Because they couldn't get the
not Universal Monsters.
Yeah, I mean,
but they were modeling them after them. Weren't
they?
Basically.
Like, they couldn't get the rights. So when you watch it, you'll understand.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but
definitely suggest watching it.
To see that there was a good release of that not too long ago too, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Night of the Creeps, same director as Monster Squad. Yep, written and it was written by Shane Black. Monster Squad was. My mom took my grandma to see the OG Blob. Said she was terrified. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, it's interesting. And I know I think I might have talked to Sean about this, but because I know Sean is a huge fan of The Exorcist. Like my mom saw it in the theater back then, and everything that you heard from this movie caused people to freak out and all this stuff, and have to be ambulances called to the theater. Like my mom actually she can attest to that. She told me like, yeah, there's people like that were like panicking outside, they were praying and they were freaking out. And I was like, man, that's crazy. But to think like back then, even with like the old Universal monsters, there was people that were terrified of that stuff. You know,
Yeah.
it's interesting to think about how things were back then in films. With how people. Well, I mean, just look at War of the Worlds. People thought that was real.
Yeah, like I also think The Exorcist was just like a whole new style of horror, and it's just unlike anything anyone saw back then. I mean, it's 10 years before I was even thought of. So like I wasn't even around for it when it was, originally released in theaters, but I do remember going to see the re-release of the director's cut in 2001 and being cocky about it with friends like, "Oh yeah, I've seen it before, no big deal. Let's go watch it again." Get in the theater and that lights dim down and that violin goes, "Oh shit, forgot about this. This is fucking scary." Like, holy shit.
The thing that would the thing of well, see, for me, the thing that would freak me out was the spider walk thing. Like that's the only thing that would really like freak me out, because I saw that film later. I guess that maybe that's why I saw it when I was already almost in my teens, I think, for the first time. And then there was a lot of parts that just kind of made me laugh. The parts of like, oh, f me, you bastards, and stuff like that. And then a guy that I went to high school with, I was like, oh, it was on TBS last night, and I started watching it. And then he's like, oh, I was watching it too. Did you laugh when she was doing it? I was like, and I ever since then I just laugh at that part. But when I saw the spider walk thing, I was like, man, that scared me. It's just the way they did it, just like the look of it is still creeped me out. And at the end, when you see the blood, like, it's just, I don't know. That always like, that's still that image. I always remember that spider walk creeping me out.
Yeah, I think that is the director's cut,
Mhm.
the spider walk. It's never been that, like, I don't know, like it just happens so quick. And like I
Mhm.
just like why is there blood coming out of her mouth though? Just I don't I don't know. But I mean it didn't really it stood out as like, all right, someone's contorting themselves in a really weird position and running down steps. Yeah, it's definitely freaky in that aspect. But it happens so quick. It's just something that just kind of, all right, done and over with. Next scene. Like I never really gave much thought to it. I wouldn't find it as, or it was, what I wouldn't say that it was really effective in a scary way for me. It's just more of like, the fuck just happened there? Like it just happened very quick. Like, why is there blood coming out of her mouth? I can see why it's very, like out there and terrifying for people though. It's very off the wall, that's for
Mhm.
sure.
And if I remember correctly, because it's been a while since I've seen it, but it's almost like it comes out of nowhere. Like that scene
Yeah,
is
it
just,
really does.
yeah,
It's cut scene and then it's right camera right on that staircase and then it zooms in on the face and then bang, it's done and over with. I think it's probably a 6-second scene at the most, 6 or 7 seconds.
yeah, if that. Yeah, but for whatever reason, that when I saw that freaked me out, and I was like, "Oh man, that's maybe it's just like the contortion, walking." I don't know. I was just like leading up to that, and then you just see it from the POV shot where you see the mouth, the blood, and everything. I don't know. I don't know. That always like stuck with me. That scene for whatever reason. Maybe it was just because it was like so quick. It's just like boom out of nowhere. Like, oh man,
The contortion thing
It's,
made me think of, I was mentioning Cobweb earlier. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it yet.
Not
Oh,
yet.
okay. So
I haven't
if
seen it
you see
either.
that,
I've
just
heard
think of
conflicting
contortion
things.
when you go into it.
Yeah,
One
like I've
thing,
heard conflicting things about it. I still haven't seen it. Like I've heard positive and negative things about it, but I still haven't,
Not saying
that's
greatest
something
ever,
else
but
I keep forgetting about.
yeah, not saying greatest ever, but I think it's worth a watch if you ever come across it, especially if it's on streaming or something. You don't have to pay for it, but yeah, if the contortion thing freaks you out a little bit, there's a little bit in that. So that's all I'll say. I'll leave it there.
Chris is saying 80s Blob is great.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the effects in that are great, man. Frank Darabont too is like, man, I love that film. It's a good one.
Yeah, that's that scene in the hospital, you know, when Shawnee Smith comes in and she's trying to go, you know, get in touch with her boyfriend Paul or whatever, and he's completely engulfed in it, and he's trying to reach out at her, like, fuck, that's an eye opener right there, you know. One minute everything's cool and calm, and the next, you know, this guy's covered in the blob, and he's, you know, begging for help.
Yeah. Well, it's also like even that other scene where like when they actually the blob gets the kids, I'm like, oh man, kids aren't saving this. That's great.
Well,
And
the movie theater scene, that is like, holy shit, dude. It's all over the ceiling. It's killing everyone. And then, yeah, it gets the one kid's friend, which is like, you know, pretty unpredictable, actually.
and then I like that other one where it grabs the one guy and it like breaks him in half.
Oh, and the bus boy in the restaurant, he gets
Yeah.
like pulled into the tubes and shit. That's a vicious death. But I really like the sheriff, man. You know, when the girls, you know, or whatever, the diner waitress is trying to call the sheriff, like, oh, he's heading down there right now, and the blob's engulfing the the telephone booth and everything, and the next you know, you see the fucking sheriff's faces right there. That's so good.
Yeah, man, it's a classic. I mean, I don't know, man. I still and that one still holds up. The effects on that like still look great.
It's a really good remake, man, especially from the golden age of horror, really, the 80s.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was inspiration for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And
Night of the Comet's a good one. I have a lot of
Yeah, that's a
nostalgia
great
for that.
one.
I rented that a lot VHS days.
One thing I was going to say, Larry, getting back to The Exorcist real quick, like you were mentioning how, like, when you saw it, you know, there'd be stuff you would laugh at. It was the same for me because that was one of the few films that I was told, oh, we're not taking you to see that. You're not going to see it, whatever. But then when it came on, like, network TV, you know, I was able to watch it because it was all, of course, torn to shreds. So, yeah, I laughed a lot at that. But I did see the re-release when they did, you know, put the spider walk back in, and I did see that in the theater, so I can say that I did see it in the theater, and it was a trip, a lot different from the first time I first saw it.
Yeah, because I mean, I can't remember if it was. I know I saw it. Like I said, I mentioned later on. I saw it again on TBS, and I was like, oh yeah, I watched it last night, and then my somebody that I was a friend with in high school, like he was like, he was saying that the whole was like, oh, you know, f me, and the way he said it was just like it made me laugh, and it's just like, yeah, that was thinking about it made me just chuckle a lot. But you know, when I saw the director's cut, I was like, holy crap, man! It's just so, I guess because I hadn't seen it before like that, and then just you know, yeah, it was just jarring. Like I don't know where to see it.
Let Jesus F you.
Oh man. Let's see. Chris's favorite Carpenter film, and has the guy from Back to School. Going back to like before when I was on Corey's channel, we were doing Back to School.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Kurt Russell's the best. Opinion respected as well. Tex. I'm like all over with the chat, man. It's crazy. Fine choice. A dystopian America is horror in itself, referring to Escape from New York. There was also Big Trouble in Little China is a good Carpenter movie. Yeah, definitely, it's awesome. Can we mention People Under the... Oh yeah, I remember that one. That one's pretty good. What do y'all think of People Under the Stairs?
It's a fun one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah,
I actually think it's one of Craven's better movies because, like, I actually kind of went on like a rant last night of Wes Craven. I think he's, when you look at his filmography, in my personal opinion, he didn't really make that many great movies. But I remember when The People Under the Stairs, you know, like when the TV spots were coming out, and it didn't really show too much. And so it kind of gave me the idea that maybe this house is being overrun by zombies because it didn't give you that much. Even in the actual trailer, it really didn't really show you that much. So for me, that mystery was really out there. Like, yeah, I really want to see this movie, The People Under the Stairs. And, you finally see it, it's a lot more than what it really led on in the TV spots, which is, that's another thing I miss about those days, man. You used to be able to see TV spots and trailers without ruining everything, and it just left you with awe and mystery and, oh, I want to go see that. It didn't give enough away. It just gave you just enough to want to get up off your ass to go see it. Nowadays, it's like, oh shit, I just saw everything in 2 minutes and 45 seconds in the trailer. I don't need to see the movie now.
You saw all the best parts in 2 minutes. That you don't have to sit through the 3-hour movie.
Now, one film that really got me back in the day that like I had no idea, and it messed with me when I first saw it. Event Horizon. They did a really good job with their trailer, not giving anything, like, because I thought it was like, oh, it's just like sci-fi film. I went in and I was like, holy crap, what is this?
It was a lot different than how they sold it, I thought.
Yeah.
Not saying in a bad way, but I mean, I remember getting caught off guard with that one.
Yeah, there was that one, and then from what I hear, people are saying about The Substance, like I've seen reviews of it and stuff, but I remember the trailer and I was just like, Death Becomes Her. I was thinking that was the thoughts I was getting, was Death Becomes Her.
Not at all.
Exactly. I've been here because I saw reviews and they told me what it was. I'm like, holy crap, man! I might be missing something.
It's a masterpiece. It's my favorite horror movie of the year.
I don't know much about it. I haven't seen it yet, but so many people that I'm friends with that have seen it, they're just like, buckle up for that last like 15 minutes of the movie or 20 minutes or whatever it is. They're like that last act, that last go. They're like, get ready.
I'll say this, it delivers like so much, and then there's parts where you think it's going to end and it doesn't end, and then but I mean, the ending is fantastic, but it's almost like for a couple of times you think it's over and it's not, and it's just like, wow, this is great.
Wow. What's the runtime on it? How long is it?
It's a couple hours.
That's why you're like, oh shit, I thought this was about to be over. Okay.
No, but I mean, it flows so well. I mean, the time doesn't even matter. I mean, it's just that, but it's like, you're
221.
Thinking, this is it.
221 is what IMDb says. So almost 2.5 hours. Yeah.
Oh, it's not super long. Like, I mean,
that's a good runtime. I mean, that's,
to me, like an average movie is about 2 hours. Like like a big studio movie
nowadays. Yeah.
So
I missed the 90-minute lower.
Well, it's like I've told several people where it's just like, if you look at those old Universal monster films, it was like 15 minutes.
I was going to say barely over an hour. Yeah.
And they just fit, like, it's incredible how much they fit in that. And it's only like an hour 10, hour 15, I mean,
yeah,
it's nuts, it's like to think about it. And then nowadays we have like these, like, average movie is 2 hours now. It's crazy.
Like, even back in those days, like, you didn't even have, like, a lot of films didn't even have proper credits, or some of them only had like credits for about 20 seconds, and then, all right, that's it, it's over. Like, that wasn't a big thing.
5 minutes, 5, 6, 7 minutes of credits now,
And you didn't have a half an hour of trailers before it too.
Right.
That too, man. I'm gonna skip through the chat a little bit. Looks like Prince is asking what's my favorite breed of cat. It's gonna be Tuxedo Cat. I love my cat. But Rosalia is saying my favorite cat is Cat Stevens. Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, well, I guess we're going on. We're going on almost 2.5 hours ourselves. So I guess I'll just skip ahead to our last question, which is for you guys, what are some of what's a yearly tradition for you all for Halloween? Like something that you've done, I mean, as you've gotten older, I guess, and what you do now, like what do you have to do for it to be like, okay, now it's spooky season? Aside from like watching horror films, is there anything that, that is a tradition you have to do every year for Halloween? Or not Halloween, but for spooky season, like August, September, but it gets you into the holiday season.
Well, I know you said not, the movie thing. I know you said besides that, but I was gonna say there's a couple movies that we always got to throw on, but especially when the kids now my kids are getting all out of the house. They're getting older, but when they were younger, that was always the big thing was we'd grow pumpkins in the backyard. They'd go pick a pumpkin out that they want. You'd have the time where you'd carve the pumpkins, and that was always a good time where we would carve those and roast up some pumpkin seeds. So that was
That's cool.
Kind of a fall time. Got me into the mood for that time of year. And I always didn't hurt when the temperatures got a little cooler and you could break out some flannels or hoodies, and I felt like I was in that time of year.
I'm still waiting for that weather. I know Texas is with me on that.
Yeah.
But what about you, Sean?
Honestly, like there's really not much. It's mostly comes down to horror movies, but I know I did mention like pumpkin beer. That's a big seasonal thing for me. Or it's really like the only time I will like really like I guess go off the hook with drinking. Like I don't drink like every day. Like I'm like I am drinking right now. It's Friday. I've been drinking a little while, so I figured, all right, I'm gonna have a good time tonight. But yeah, like it's just like pumpkin beer just it gets me into the the vibe of the season. It just does it for me. But other than that, with like traditions, I mean, like when you're mostly doing these things on your own, it's hard to really like fully embrace these things. I guess you could say. Like I don't know. Like I would say, like the everyday people I hang out with would probably think I'm insane if I'm sitting here talking about how much I enjoy the fall season and horror movies. I got plenty of everyday friends that are always just busting on me like, dude, I can't believe you spend all that money on movies and shit. Like that's what does it for me, man. It's when I was a kid. And I would go through the movie aisles, with the VHS tapes. I told myself one day, I was like, I'm going to own all these movies one day. Maybe not right now, but one day I'm going to own all these movies. And now I do.
But you pick and choose though. I mean, people might look at that, and I've had this before. I've had these discussions a lot of times where they're like, "That's crazy, you buy movies still," and what you could save that money. But there's other things they spend their money on that they could be saving as well too. So like like I have some guys that are like looking at like you bought that Nightmare on Elm Street for whatever $50-$60, but they're going out after work 3 or 4 times a week to a bar, hanging out with buddies and drinking, and like nothing against drinking or anything like that. I do as well, but I don't go out to the bar a lot like that, where I'm like, okay, how much did you spend through that week if you're going out 2-3 times a week, buying a little food, buying some drinks at a bar? You're picking, or you have a annual membership to a golf course, or whatever, whatever your thing is. But they don't equate the thing. It's like, okay, this is my hobby. That's your hobby. And I would never spend, $1,500 to have an annual pass for a golf course, or whatever, but
I have a good story about the way to piggyback off what you're saying, Corey. Two guys I used to work with, one of them, huge WoW fan. This was a few years back. He's like, oh, I love WoW, all this stuff. And then this other guy who was like, oh man, isn't that a video game? That's kid stuff, whatever. And then he started talking about, no man, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm gonna go do my football draft stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, isn't that really like kind of the same thing? It's a game.
Yeah.
Aren't you choosing players? It's almost like a video game. No, well, it's football.
And the more they explain it, the more it sounds the same.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like nothing against people that do that,
No, but don't like put somebody else down.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, it's you're choosing your group.
Yeah,
choosing your client, your people. It's sort of the same as
It's a hobby with a different name.
Yeah. So that's what. Yeah, it's like I always I really don't have too many people that tell me like, oh, you buy toys or you buy this or because people know that I like horror movies at work. My office at work has like horror stuff in it. It's like I tell people like, yeah, I love horror and I know this is my stuff. Granted, like people that I work with, like not many of them know, like I'll do videos and stuff like that. Much of my family doesn't know about it either. It's just kind of like,
Same here.
it's just my thing. I just want to keep that all separate. Some of my friends, some of my friends are in the chat right now, Ross and Christina, they're friends of mine. And, they're some of the people that like, hey man, why don't you do this? And, there's kind of the people that I guess, inspired me to do it, or,
Nice.
supported me to do it. You know what I mean?
It's good to have people like that in your corner, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But isn't it funny? Like maybe, I don't know if you all have run into this too, but while you're doing this and talking about some of the things that you like to buy and collect, it's crazy how quick some people are to come out to tell you how you should or should not be spending your money. But then you could look at them and be like, okay, wait a minute. Yeah. You didn't spend the same amount I did on movies, but okay, you just went out to eat 4 times this week at a restaurant and spent, $50-$60 each time you went out or whatever. You're spending more than I am, and I can watch this movie again tomorrow night. Those drinks, the food you had, it was good at that moment, but you don't get that any other time you want to. You have to buy it again, kind of a thing. Nothing against that. There's always fun to go out and do that, but I think it's funny how some people will judge the way you spend money on some things you like to collect, but yet you could look at some of the things they spend money on and be like, well, that doesn't even last as long as what you're making fun of me about getting,
Yeah, exactly.
I used to have the same argument with like my mom, like when I was growing up, because I was constantly buying records and things like that. That was before, I was collecting movies, and she was always like, do you really need that? Or, and I mean, even in records, sometimes you'll double, triple dip because you get a picture disc or colored vinyl or like whatever, and she, and then it's just funny. Like when I moved back from California, my mom goes, wow, I didn't know you had this and stuff. She goes, you've done a good job with these, that's your investment. When she used to say, act like they were all worthless, but she's telling me that they were my investment, but pretty much I used to argue with her. I'd say, well, you just bought a couple of pairs of shoes last week and you don't see me bitching at you, and stuff, but to me, buying physical media, whether it's records or movies, that's the best drug problem to have, because, you're not, it's better to be addicted to something that you can do over and over again instead of something that could kill you in an instant, so.
Well,
Yeah,
and it's easy to judge how somebody spends their money on.
Addicting. Like you won't be physically addicted. Like, all right, I can't buy Blu-rays anymore. I'm going to go through withdrawal now.
Right.
Well, I think I brought this up once before. It's just like with the figures, like it's like I get the ones that I want. I'm not buying all of them. I mean, for one, it's like there's stuff that I'm not interested in, but it's stuff like, like the Dawn of the Dead ones. I'm never going to open them because of what they're in. There's some stuff I won't open. If I was to find them cheaper, maybe I'd buy them again. Like, because I've had even collectors like, well, why don't you buy 2 so you can like open them? I was like, no, man, like, why am I gonna like do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. I've known people that do it. It's like, that's cool if they do that. That's cool how they want to spend their money. Is like, this is how I spend my money.
And if you spend your money that way and you enjoy it, who cares? Like you're not hurting anybody and you enjoy it that way, do it. You want to open it, you don't want to open it, but whatever, you enjoy it, go for it. That's your thing.
And I had the same, I would have the same discussion with my mom too. Back in the day, I would buy VHS, I would buy CDs, and I would blind buy CDs sometimes. I was like, oh, it's a cool cover,
I did that a lot.
Or I had like one song that I liked, and then I ended up like, well, I only liked the one song, but I paid like $13 for the whole album. You know what I mean? So it's just like I did that. So I have a lot of CDs, my old CDs. I have a lot of my old VHS, my old DVDs. Same thing, like I still have all this stuff because it's like that meant something to me. That was something that I collected. That stuff, movies that I hadn't seen, I would pick up, or or I'd hear from people like, oh, you should check out this movie, or I'd see it from somebody and I would pick it up, or I would just blind bag pick up movies sometimes.
But that's what's funny is people think you're crazy, or at least I get it sometimes about blind buying some movies. But you know, when I was growing up, a lot of the time where you didn't have streaming services, we'd go to the movies every single weekend.
Yep.
Well, that's a blind buy. You're buying a movie ticket to a movie you know very little about. You've seen maybe a commercial, a little trailer, and like we said back the older times, they didn't give away as much, so there was that was the blind buying back in the day, was buying a movie ticket to a movie you didn't know a whole lot about and going to. So, but it's just funny where that didn't seem so crazy at the time, but now you buy a physical disc for whatever price, you know, sometimes it's only $5, but it's just like, you don't know what that movie is. That's crazy to buy that. I'm like, well, you know, I went to the movies, I don't know how many weekends in my life where I didn't know much about the movie, but you saw the poster or you saw something cool about it and you're like, hey, let's go check it out this weekend.
Yeah.
Perfect example is what I mentioned before is Event Horizon.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, there's like something like that, or, you know, when I was even more of a kid and I was like, oh, Double Dragon, and look how that nonsense turned about. Like, you know, it's stuff like that but to your point, Corey, it's like, yeah, you're going in blind almost, and it's just like, you're going to either like it or you're not going to like it. And it's just,
well, you're going in just as blind then as you are buying a movie now. Like, because a lot of them I buy that are blind buys, I might have seen a snip about it or a trailer or a little bit of a review, or a friend was like, oh, it was awesome. And then I see a little sale on it. I'm like, oh, you know, I'll give it a try. But to me, that's no different than where I was going to the movie once or twice. I mean, sometimes at least once or twice a weekend for a long stretch of my life, you know,
yeah.
but way before, you know, you could just get YouTube or streaming or anything like that.
Yeah. And Rosalia brings up a good point. Sometimes
Yes.
Wi-Fi doesn't work, so it's good to have DVDs. Yep.
Got the old standby. You can throw it
I
in.
can't rely on streaming because streaming has bad video quality. And I cannot fathom the thought of, I'm going to pay for streaming, and one day, oh, wait, all this is going to be done and over with. So all that money's just going to go to waste.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it makes way more sense to own a movie than to rent a movie.
And I know people have said this before, and this is me, old man yelling at the sky thing, but you know, like, I absolutely hate, like, oh, I tag some things, put it in my stuff on, or my watch list on some streaming service, and I go to watch it and I'm like, where is it at? I know I put it on there. Well, it left that streaming service, you know, and then you're like, well, crap, where is it at now? And then it might not be anywhere, or maybe it's one you don't subscribe to or whatever. And you have the DVD or Blu-ray, whatever, you can just put it in and watch it, you know? And
See,
I hate that game of trying to track it down again, even when you thought you knew it was at one spot at one place, but then it's gone. But
yeah, like, honestly, like, it usually comes down to rights issues and stuff.
Why, I know, but yeah, but it's still annoying. Yeah,
these movies, but like, I really think these streaming services could capitalize if it were to, like, all right, we have this movie on here. It's on here until we're out of business. You know, like, that would make more sense. That would actually be more appealing to me as, you know, getting into streaming, I guess, minus the video quality. Like, I don't know if you guys ever really pay attention to video quality on streaming, but I notice it right off the bat, dude. It looks like nothing but a smoke screen right away on it. It's just like, what, dude? This looks odd. Something's wrong here.
Well,
It just
that,
stands out right away.
you also get the what do you call it? The
pixelation kind
the
of.
pixelation and
Yeah.
the sort of stuff. So it
almost looks like there's a filter on it in a way. When you're watching streaming, it's just like, all right, can we shut this option off? But no, you can't, because you have no control over that. You only have control over hitting play and stop.
Well, and talking about that, there's some people that just poo-poo on DVDs all day long, but I'm like, there's some DVDs that I don't think look that bad compared to some streaming services, you know, like it's just like any format you have, there's good and there's bad ones. But there's some DVDs that I can put in and I'm like, the movie's good. The movie's good enough. I don't notice. I just enjoy it and watch the thing. But
the other thing too is there's a lot of movies that still haven't been either brought over to DVD or even to Blu-ray.
Yep.
You know, so it's like, if you think about it, it's like, you know, you that's why I've had so many of my VHS still. That's why I still kept a lot of my, because you get I've said this before many a times. It's just like I feel like DVDs when they were first doing like each place had their release. It was incredible because you got so much cool like extra stuff. When I feel like only the boutique labels do that now, really, where they give you that extra stuff. Like, for example, like the Nightmare on Elm Street thing, the one that you have, Corey, that one has a lot of stuff to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Umbrella, I got the audition one, has tons of stuff to it, like a ton of extra stuff. Like these boutique labels, some of them, yeah, they do a crazy good job with them, and then there's some places that just like, oh, here's a steelbook, but there's really no more extra stuff. A perfect example is look at that Deadpool Wolverine.
Yes, I was just gonna say I was trying to shut up, but yes.
Because you pay, like everybody's complaining online, well, you're paying this much for a steelbook, and it's just like, well, I mean, that's kind of where Disney, they kind of know they can get away with that because everybody wants that film. And yeah,
I was just
Dude,
talking
I'm
about
so
that.
glad you brought up this topic right now. I'm not going to try to ride on it too long, but I just don't understand how, like, you have these small boutique labels that go above and beyond. They give you, like, paragraphs of fucking features and just, alternate artwork, everything you can imagine as a fan. But then you have a movie like, let's say, Bram Stoker's Dracula. All right, it's a big studio movie. You know what? We're multimillionaires over here, but we're gonna give you the bare minimum because we don't give a shit. But I just don't get it how these big studios have the money to go above and beyond, but the boutique labels are the ones doing it. The ones that are, just scraping by to get, to get by. And I don't know how much money boutique labels are really making. At the end of the day, probably not much. I think they're just having fun doing it, but I just don't get in comparison, like big studio companies, you have the money and now we're just going to give you what we think is best. But no, you got labels like Second Sight, Severn Films, Vinegar Syndrome, just going all out, man. Probably giving us more than what we really deserve in some of these releases. But I just don't get how Lionsgate, Warner Brothers, Universal, why can't you guys do that for us? You have the money to do it. But that just tells me at the end of the day, you guys don't give a shit. You only care about your income. You don't care if the fans are satisfied, man.
yeah.
It's fucking sad, man. That really bothers me, man.
I was just talking about that with I won't go too long on this, but I was just talking about this with a few other friends that we were talking about the Deadpool Wolverine steelbooks and them doing MSRP of $65 or whatever it was, 60, 65, whatever. I don't want to exaggerate, but it was up there. And they didn't drop much. Like a lot of people pre-ordered it thinking like, oh, they set it high, but it will drop down. And it didn't. And they were going for that. And I know I'm comparing to things on sale, but when you think about it, like in comparison, we were talking about this. So you got 60, 65 bucks for one movie, Steelbook, with not a lot of extras with it. But then, and I know it's on sale, but there was the Paramount Scares Volume 1 and Volume 2 that they have right now. Both of them are about $47.
No, man, what a joke.
But they're all fun they're all fun movies. One of them has 5 4Ks, one has 4 4Ks. So you're looking at 4 or 5 4K movies in a box, nice box, some extras in there, little tchotchkes, posters, like little other things with that. Okay, for $47, you're looking at 4 or 5 4K movies in a nice box set. And there's nothing chintzy about it. And compared to one that's 20 bucks, almost 20 bucks more.
Yeah.
I don't know. And like somebody can be like, well, you're comparing something that's on sale, but still it's something new that's still sitting on the shelf and you can get it for that price. And
Well, yeah,
go ahead.
Going off of that, I mean, that's why I wait for the Scream Factory stuff when it goes on sale. I mean, I pay like $60, but I get like great value for like 3 4Ks. Like there's something that comes with it with each release. Even though it's not like the big release because I missed out on it, but it's like it gives you features. It gives you like that's what I loved about DVDs was just like the commentary, the deleted scenes, the behind the scenes stuff, like the interviews, all the stuff that like, oh man, I want to know more about this film. But then DVD started going bare bones, and then same thing with Blu-rays. Blu-rays at first, or Blu-rays, and I noticed this with I first noticed this with oddly enough with Force Awakens. I went out because at that time I was still a huge Star Wars fan. I went out, bought it, and then there was no deleted scenes. It's not until like 6 months later they're like, "Oh, here's a special edition with deleted scenes." I'm just like, "Oh, we're gonna do this," you know?
Yeah, I think that was the Best Buy exclusive. I remember that shit. Yeah, that was annoying.
Yeah.
That's,
So
yeah, that was Disney's way of, oh, you already bought it? Well, look, we're going to give you another reason to buy it.
yeah. But and then that's the thing, the original, or not the original, the prequels, when those were coming out, they were loaded with stuff on DVD. Like had like at least 2 discs, 3 discs of stuff, and or they would give you a Best Buy exclusive with a third disc that has extra stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I think one of them, I think it was part 2. I think it was episode 2 had like a playable demo. Yeah, it had like a playable demo for Battlefront, I think. I mean, there was just they gave you like so much stuff back then. It's just like I feel like now it's the boutique labels that actually give you stuff.
I know, like, I don't know how the boutique labels are making, how they're continuing business. Like you have to pay these people too. Like you're getting these actors on screen for interviews and making these documentaries and stuff. These people just ain't showing up because they're having fun with it. Like they're definitely getting paid.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are
No,
doing
we can't
okay.
do this in big studio companies, though.
I think a lot of them are doing
just don't
okay. Like
get
they're
it.
keeping the
Where's the
doors.
money going?
Yeah,
It
they're
makes
keeping the
no
doors
fucking
open, but they're
sense.
not making millions off of the thing. You know, but and some of those too, they're picking and choosing some of the titles that they do a lot of that extra stuff with as well. So sometimes maybe they're ones that we love. There's a cult following, but they're not the gigantic, big names. Not downplaying them at all. There's a lot of them I love that they do it and I enjoy them. But you know, when you look at some of the titles that I was just having this conversation too. It's like, wait a minute, this one got this big 4K treatment and this nice big box set, but this movie didn't get that. I'm like, well, you know, maybe the one that got it wasn't all around success from the get go, you know, wasn't like a blockbuster in the theater, wasn't, you know, and wasn't like, you know, maybe this one was more of a cult classic after it came out and we love it still the same, but maybe it puts some of those actors and actresses in a different category to pay them to come in and do a, you know, a commentary on the film, but still love it. Like I said, I'm not downplaying it at all, but maybe that's where their money goes a little further sometimes when you also have some huge titles where you're like, I can't believe this doesn't have a 4K yet. I can't believe it doesn't have this big fancy set like this movie has or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know why it took so long for the Elm Street films to finally, break the ice at the 4K, format. I don't know why that took so damn long, but that just tells me that Warner Brothers is like, yeah, we know how popular the Elm Street franchise is, but we just don't care about that right now. We're not going to focus on that right now. We have the rest of our lives to focus on that because you guys are always going to fucking ride that dick all the time for it.
Yeah, man. Well, guys, looks like we're at the 2:47 mark. So
yeah, we're coming up on 3 hours.
Yeah.
You got to break 3 hours now. Come on. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
We got to have a gizmo stream. We got to go 10 hours.
I'll be there with like coffee, like I like twitching. No,
I get made fun of the length of my streams now anymore. So
I think this is the longest stream I've had. Even with mine and Don's, I mean, I think this has probably been one of the longest, aside from maybe when I was on Sean's channel for one of the movies. I know maybe Aliens was pretty long, But
I had one that it was over in 1 minute or 1 hour and 45 minutes, and somebody contacted me after, and they were like, "Wow, that was really short. What did something happen?" And I was like, "I'm like, no." I was like, the person that was on, I asked them, I was like, "How long do you want to go for?" And they were like, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, and so they said that was the time, and that's when we stopped it.
Like,
but they were like, "What was something wrong? Did something go bad? Like, why was it so short?" Like, so now I have like this weird stigma that if it goes less than like 3 hours, something went wrong.
It's like 2 hours, 58 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, wow, did they get pissed or what happened?
Man, that went south really quick.
Yeah, wow, I thought it was going well so long.
But
this is a lot of fun. It goes by fast though when you're having fun hanging out with people like you, with all of you, and it was a great time. I appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, man. I mean,
definitely.
Again, I'm super appreciative that you guys were available to come on and hang out and stuff like that. I mean, it's one of those things where I had like I said before, I had the idea in my head, and I was trying to formulate it and everything, and trying to like, okay, what are some of the things to come up with and talk about? And I love hearing people's stories. I love, maybe it's because I was a bartender and I would hear people's stories. I always was interested in that stuff. But before, we sign off and everything, what do you guys have coming up and coming down the pipeline? Anything you want to pimp out or anything like that? I guess we'll go ahead.
We're going to hit 3 hours. We're hitting 3 hours before we get off.
There you go.
We're doing it. We're hitting 3. We're only 10 minutes away. Come on. We're going to hit 3 hours. I want your record. You got 3 hours. Sean, what do you got going on, man?
Tomorrow night is going to be the 40th anniversary for James Cameron's The Terminator, the 1984 movie. So it's in the middle of October, during the month of true horror movies, I guess you could say. But like I say, man, the Terminator technically is a slasher, so why not, man? But there's no way I could just. All right, 40th anniversary for the Terminator? Yeah, let's ignore that, no big deal. But we've never done a Terminator movie on the channel, so that'll be a first. I'm looking forward to that tomorrow night. But we're going to close out the month with the 20th anniversary for Saw. I'm not the biggest fan of Saw, really not. But the first movie had a big effect on me in the theater. And when I first saw, when I was watching the movie in the theater as it started, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I really don't. But getting to that final act actually had me on the edge of my seat, and I was like, fuck, dude, this movie took a fucking turn that I did not expect at all. But I mean, as far as the franchise goes, it's I don't know, it's not really something that it's right up my alley. But I've gotten through the first 3 movies, which I think is a big deal, actually. I know there's like 8 of them, but I've gotten through 3 of them without actually wanting to gouge my eyes out. And, I think the second one's a decent film. Third one's, far from perfect. But, after watching the third one, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to finish these movies. But, I just think it's important to at least acknowledge the original movie on its 20th anniversary. That's coming up. So yeah, that'll be on the 29th. But other than that, I might do if I have time for it on Halloween Day, I might do a pop-up hangout stream. I don't know if I had the time for it. I know I'm not going to have time for it at night, but if it happens, it's going to be during the day, Eastern time, where I'm at. But we might do that. You might have some other subscribers on the panel for that. We'll see what happens. But other than that, I think we did besides tomorrow and doing Saw, we did like a total of like 5 movies so far, and then not even counting like what Texas and Juno did. I mean, it's really becoming a regular thing for me at this point to stream at least for like 4 days a week, man. Woo, man, it's like, it's a lot, but you know what? I'm having fucking fun with it, man. I am. If I was not having fun with it, I would tell Texas, I would tell Juno, yeah, we're not doing this tonight. You know, it's just I'm not feeling it. You know, I always find time for this because like I'm just at the point in my life where I don't know, like I'm in my 40s now, but like, you know, when I was in my 20s, I was actually at the bar wasting money, like we were talking about earlier. Like, you know, like some people like to spend their money on, you know, physical media and movies, and some people like to spend it on drinks and stuff. I used to be one of those people at the bar just dumping money into drinks all night and then not, you know, waking up the next day not knowing how I got home. And after a while, that took a toll on me, man. It really did. I just, you know, it got played out. Like, you know, like how much longer can my body really handle partying like this all the time? And
it gets
so now
expensive too.
yeah, it's very expensive, dude. It's so much cheaper to buy a case of beer and sit at home. It really is.
And you're not
But
driving anywhere, right? You know, you just hang
yeah,
out at home and
that's a big thing too. You know, driving. You know, relying on a, you know, a DH, a designated driver, or a
right.
DD, whatever you want to call it. But
you can just hang out
I'm
at
just
home and
at
be
the
safe.
point where, like, you know, I'm in my early 40s now. I'm just kind of, I guess you could say, I'm calming down a bit. Like, I used to be someone who just enjoyed chaos all the time, but I'm enjoying this, you know, just hanging out with, you know, people that enjoy things I enjoy on like a Friday night like this. It's okay to stay at home. You know, it's not a big deal to, you know, oh, I'm missing all this shit going on. Everyone, no, it's just people just hanging out at the bar drinking and stuff. And no, I'm okay with doing that at home. And you know, I really am like fully committed to like movies and physical media at this point in my life because it's what really keeps me grounded. It keeps me out of trouble, and I really enjoy it. It's just I have never gotten tired of movies at all. Like, you know, like when I was a kid and just growing up and going to the video store, like, you know, I really told myself, I was like, I'm going to own these movies someday. I'm going to own them. You know, like I never thought that the format would really change from VHS to Blu-ray, but you know, I own all these movies now and I don't regret it at all, man. I love every minute of it.
Nice, man. And yeah, like like you were saying, I was the same way in my 20s. I was just dumping money on going out, drinking, and stuff like that. The odd thing though is at the end of the night, some of my friends can attest to this. I'd be like, "Man, I want to watch this movie. I don't have it. Let's go to Walmart."
Yeah.
So we're driving there 2 in the morning. We're going to Walmart. We pick up Jack in the Box, and then I pick up Old School, or I pick up Napoleon Dynamite, or I pick up some random like horror movie that I hadn't seen or something. You know, it's just like I want to see this movie right now, and I don't have it. Let's go
And
to
then you
Walmart.
sat down and watched the best movie ever at that time. You know?
Well, I'd watch the first 5 minutes of it, and then I'd pass out. But no, man.
And like you're actually referring to like before streaming and all. You know, you had to go to the store and get a copy of it. You can't just go home and, you know, pick it off the TV. But you know, I kind of miss the, you know, those days before streaming and all this shit now, and you know, uncreativeness with making, you know, modern movies and everything. But I don't like, it's just, you know, like a lot of my like outside friends from, you know, talking to you guys, I do consider you guys friends, you know, even though we don't see each other in real life, I do still consider you guys you know, real friends and everything. But you know, like
sure.
this is one of the reasons why I started a channel, because a lot of my everyday friends are not really into horror and cinema and movies like I am. And I just felt like, you know, it might be wise to just start a channel and just trying to find a way to connect with people. Because if I don't, I'm probably going to give up on it. So like I'm glad I've started a channel. I've gotten to know a lot of great people here, and you know I really enjoy spending my free time with a lot of you guys like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's why going back to before, the reason why I started watching. That was, like I said, my Friday night routine was like I'd be on Rob's chat, with my friends. I would always see it as that, and then I would come and hang out on. Once I discovered Sean's channel, it was the same thing. I would go from there, and it was like going to the next party, going to the after party. You know what I mean? And it's just like that's again that kind of like I missed that once Rob was gone. That's why me and Don started doing it, because I missed hanging out with my friends. A lot of my close friends, they don't live near me. So it's kind of like, you know it's like I'm still kind of hanging out with my friends. That's how I see it. And like like you said, Sean. I mean, I consider you guys friends as well. I mean, I respect y'all's your what you like and stuff like that. And it's like it's the same with me. It's like I love movies, I love horror, I love I mean, I do figure reviews and stuff, but it's just like I feel like we're all still similar in that sense, that we all have a love for film and horror and music as well, stuff like that. So that's why it's
Yeah.
like that's why doing this, I was another thing, like the people that I've had on here, people were like, who do I want to have on here? And look, now we're almost 3 hours, so it's like it's crazy, man.
Dude, I'm just gonna say this real quick. Imagine if this was a private stream. We're not live right now. Easy 6 to 8 hours. We could have did this. We could have.
Yeah.
If we had the time for it, we could have just rode out on this and just really get to know each other.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, a lot of it was like a lot of the time was this, and then a lot of the time was the chat as well. Them chiming in. And again, that's part of like what I missed about Rob's streams and stuff. Is like, man, everybody in the chat, like they're all my buddies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's why we do the live streams, to get that interaction with them, and you want to spend time with, or at least I feel like everybody on here, I feel like you all have the same appreciation of people spending their time jumping in and being in the chat and doing that. And so it's awesome to have people that want to spend their time with you. That's a precious resource, and appreciate everybody jumping in and saying, hey, and talking with us the whole time.
Yeah, definitely, man. I definitely appreciate each and every one of y'all. I mean, it's just like for y'all to show up and every week and that I've done this, and and even showing up on y'all's streams as well, like a lot of the familiar faces, and it's so cool to see them, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I that's why I say in some people's like chats when I jump in, it's like, hey fam, because it's like, that's how I feel. I feel like it's like, we're all a fam. We're all a family community. You know what I mean?
You're walking into a place and like, hey, look at all these people I recognize, and say hi to them.
Like another thing I really do like from, just interacting with a lot of people is, some channels get so big to a point where they just forget that, all right, I forgot I'm having fun on here, but now I'm going to worry about, how much money I can make off of this. A lot of you guys are not like that, man. A lot of you guys are not, having super chats and, memberships and just, it's not about money, man. It's about interacting, forming some kind of relationships with people and just relating to the same things that we're all into. And, like, I really feel like if none of this was really working, I want to continue to do this every weekend. Like I would say for me, Texas and Juno, it really is about hanging out with us three. But without the people that show up in the chat, it wouldn't make that possible either. It comes from different angles. It really does. And I'm surprised I've gotten this far with things and just, establishing, small relationships, whatever label you want to put on it. But obviously I'm getting to know people. We're all into similar things, and we're able to agree and also disagree on things and still talk to each other the next day without, taking it so seriously. It's about hearing each other out, man. Like for me, I want to hear other people's opinions, whether I agree with it or not. I want to see where people come from on things, just because I have a different outlook or a different feel for a certain movie or an album or band, whatever it is, I'm still interested to hear people's opinions on things. Yeah. But I'm just surprised I've gotten to this point with things. I don't know. There's some people I talked on here, including Juno in Texas, where I'm just like, I wish I had these people in my everyday interactions. Not just streaming and stuff. Like I could. There's a lot of great people to interact with throughout here. There really is. And to me, I feel like my time's worth that every weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel you, man, on that. Yeah. I mean, it's like, that's why I said I appreciate when I mean, if there was only like 4 people in the chat, it's just like I'd be appreciative of that. It's just like everybody showing up. It's just like, man, this is, even if it's getting bigger and stuff like that with everybody hanging out. I mean, it's all fun, you know. You saw the chat; everybody's like back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah,
And
the whole night. So
Yeah.
even when you're like, oh gosh, we're at 3 hours. Well, there's people that have been here. And I'm not saying anything against somebody that couldn't be here the whole time, because sometimes just life, you can't do that. But however, there was people, whether it was part of it or the whole thing, hanging out for a long time, you know, and you know, hanging out, chatting with us, keep you know, things going on there. So I always find that amazing, and will never ever take that for granted. That's a cool thing to have that going on.
Yeah.
And even if it's one person, I'll say this too. Okay, when somebody like, well, what if there's nobody shows up or there's one person? I don't get, if it's one person, that's like, okay, if I go out to the restaurant or a bar, whatever you want to do, and you meet with one friend, are you going to go in there and be like, it's just one of my friends, this is going to suck? You know, like, no, yeah, like that's a friend of mine, you know, like I'm going to hang out with them. I don't care if it's, then the two of us are going to have a lot of great conversations between the two of us, you know? And so whether it's one person in the chat, 5, 10, 20, whatever, you know, it's a cool thing and appreciated.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
I mean,
go ahead, Tex.
We're going for 4 now. We're going for 4. Go for 4.
That's kind of, Corey, that's kind of like the Police's first tour of the U.S. They were playing like, you know, clubs, and maybe they were only playing to like 6 people a night, where they'd do some songs. Sting would get off the stage. They'd introduce everybody in the audience to each other, hop back on stage, and they'd do the rest of their set.
But they made probably some lifelong fans out of those people that were there, you know?
So,
like, anyway,
I mean, yeah.
No, it's cool.
What about you, Tex? What do you have coming up?
I haven't decided what my last movie is, but I've also been thinking kind of like Sean has in the area that I might want to do maybe 2 movies this coming week through on it.
Uh-oh.
I think we lost him.
He froze up there. I think we might have lost him, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there I am. I wish my internet would stop, you know, screwing up. I've never had this problem at all doing these, and then tonight of all nights it's gonna screw up. But as I was saying, I haven't decided what I'm gonna do for my Wednesday night movie yet, but I'm thinking along the lines of Sean and doing something else, or maybe adding an extra movie also this week, since it's, you know, Shocktober and all that good stuff. So we'll see what happens, but I'll have that figured out like tomorrow or Sunday at least, and whatnot.
Cool, man.
Yeah, you know, take whatever time you want to put whatever thought you got to do into that. But you know, it's whatever you want to do, man. I know one thing's for sure is, like I told you before, like I'm just like, man, I don't like doing watch parties for first time watches. And now I'm so like, you know, like I'm almost like, all right, what am I going to learn next week? Because it's going to be a first time watch probably, you know. It's like, you know, it's just like, man, I just should have just shut up off the bat. You know, I didn't realize, like, you know, like I'm actually, you know, I'm taking from this, you know, it's in a way I'm learning and stuff. So I'm starting to see movies that I would normally put on the back burner. No, it's time to finally see these movies. Stop talking about it and fucking do it. That's it.
Well, you know, I like to share, so that's all you know, all I can say about that. And as long as it's appreciated, that's the main thing, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Yeah. What about you, Corey?
This is going to be very anticlimactic. So sorry. I have the most things that are up in the air right now, but nothing completely hard set on times. So I don't have anything to really announce, but there are things coming up. There's a lot of things in the air where I'm talking with people, and we're just trying to figure out the right day and time. So yeah, if you want to check me out, there are things in the works. I just don't have the hard set date and times at this point. And, I've been leaning into the live stream thing, which I love. We were talking about the people in the chat. That will never get old to me. And I'm going to never turn away from that, because I'm like addicted to it. And I got to keep on doing that. I just love that interaction, and I feel like I'm more comfortable doing this than pre-recorded videos, but I am trying to dip back into the pre-recorded and get a little bit, mix up, have a little variety on my channel. So I am trying that out. So, hey, if I didn't annoy you too much tonight, come over and check it out. And I'll have some things coming out here relatively soon.
You're definitely far from annoying. I know that.
Yeah,
It depends who you ask. I probably.
Oh man, not at all.
no, not at all.
Everybody's got their own perspective and point of view, but I don't see you annoying at all, man. I could hang out with you all day, every day, dude.
Oh yeah,
I appreciate that. I'll take that. I'll take that. That's a great compliment. Thank you.
The Dan Rather of the film community, man.
Hey.
I always say.
I'll go with that too. I've been called worse things, so I'll go with that.
Well, I'm not mentioning names or anything like that, but Sean and I have dealt with the devil, so we know a lot about bullshit, and you're definitely not bullshit. You're an amazing person, Corey, and we appreciate you very much.
Thank you. That's a great compliment. I appreciate that very much.
I mean, like, you're one of the people that really, makes me like, all right, maybe I should watch my language a bit here. Maybe I should try to be a little bit more of a straight arrow here. Like, I'm probably people probably think I'm out of my damn mind, dropping F-bombs here left and right. That's just my vocabulary. I mean, I can't help it. But like sometimes, I'm just like, oh shit, like, all right, oh, we're doing a stream with Corey tonight. Like, all right, I got to be on my best behavior. But no, like, we talked about this before. I know we talked about this before. And like, Corey, you explained yourself. You're not a stuck-up fucking, you're not that stuck-up, dude. You're understandable, man. You get it. Curse words are just a part of the vocabulary sometimes. And unfortunately, it's a part of mine. It just is.
I think it's funny, though, when people say that. I've heard the words before. It does not bother me hearing them, somebody saying them on a stream. They don't come out of my mouth a lot, but you will hear them at some point during this. You'll have it come out. But I've heard them all before, and it will not destroy me hearing somebody say them. Right. So, earmuffs. But I always think it's funny where it's like, I've had multiple people say like, "Oh, Corey, I'm coming on your stream. I gotta like watch what I say." And I'm like, "Well, no, you don't have to do that. Like, be yourself." But I always think that's funny. So yeah, no, I'm a big boy. I can hear him. It's okay. I just don't say him a lot, but that's okay. That's just.
That's another thing though. Like I remember, before you, me, and Texas got on the panel and talked. Like, we briefly talked about this, and you just like what you just said is what you said to us. It's just no. I want you guys to be comfortable with yourself. Just be yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, when you said that, I was just like, all right, that's actually a big load off my shoulders right now. Like that just confirmed that he's okay with me. Maybe being a bit overboard with the language. It just.
Yeah, I don't want people to feel like they're walking on eggshells around.
Well, it's
me,
like I'm not gonna. It's like, and that's the thing too. I think back in one of the times Don had said like, "Oh, we got to be," and I was like, "No, man, you just you just say whatever you're all gonna say, like
be yourself."
Just because I don't. Yeah, be yourself. I'm not gonna tell my friends of like years like, "Oh man, I don't want to hear curse words or anything like that." I mean, I don't say them as much. Like I don't say them, but every so often, like they'll come out.
Oh, there'd be a day I'll throw some out.
Yeah. Just because I don't say it, it's just like I don't want y'all to think like, oh, this is a PG. Right. This is a PG stream.
Right. And if you say it, you're not going to wreck my day, and I won't get all upset or something like that. But
yeah.
Unintentionally, my mouth is full of diarrhea all the time. When it comes to bad language, so it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, I'd say like probably about the time that I really learned what curse words were and how to emphasize what they were, how to use them. That's it. I just kept using them. I didn't stop,
Right.
Well,
what?
No, we're only 45 minutes away from 4 hours. Let's go. No.
Well, I mean, we did get this earlier.
4 more hours. 4 more hours.
No, but I mean, as for myself, this will probably be the last stream of the month. I'm not sure about next month. Other than that, I have a figure review that's going to be coming up. I also have a short that's going to be coming up. That figure review will be coming out on Halloween, I believe. Hopefully, if I can finish editing it in time. But beyond that, other than that, it's going to be like I'll probably do a haul video next week or whenever I get around to it. Since I've dialed everything back, I've been kind of like more like, okay, when I get around to releasing something, and like I'll now if I stream on somebody else's channel, like I have nothing planned yet. But you never know. November, maybe something will come up, and or one of us will be on each other's channel again, or we'll do a stream on here again.
Heck yeah, I'd have any of you on my channel again in a heartbeat. You're all cool. All cool to hang out with for sure.
And everybody in the chat, if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to any of these guys' channels, I'm going to have their links in the description. So definitely check them out if you haven't checked them out. These are all great dudes.
Oh yeah.
And beyond that, I'll wait for Sean to get back.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
He just didn't want to sign off without you.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to sign off without you, Sean, man. But,
it's all good.
I hope everybody had a fun time.
Yes.
And I hope everybody has a wonderful spooky season. If I don't see you all, and everybody in the chat, have a fun one. Have a happy Halloween, and we will see. And got to leave it off with this, man, because I'm still shocked by this.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
We had the special guest in the chat, right?
Yep. It was just like when you said, I was like, wait, what? And
you're like, nah. You're like, nah.
I started scrolling through the chat, man, and I mean, yeah, that's like my brother from another, man. The guy that made this all possible for me to be live streaming.
Got you going.
Yeah.
I had the hugest smile on my face, and I'm like, oh my God, and like I said, it's like Christmas,
Yeah,
you know?
Well, you saw me. It's like I said. It's like I don't know what to say. Like I was like literally like speechless. But
that's cool. Yeah. I was glad I was able to be here and see that too. That's cool. So hopefully back in action before too long.
Hopefully. But beyond that, everybody else, y'all have a wonderful night. Take it easy. Have a great weekend and leading up into spooky season.
Yep. Thanks.
Take care, guys. We'll see you again.
See ya.